everybody, and welcome to the United Stand. Hope you're all doing well. We've got a bit of delay on this camera today. I don't know what that's all about. No, it seems to be all right now. Sorry about that. Let me just lock that in. There we go. And yeah, how are we all doing? How are we all doing? Manchester United playing LINZ tonight, or LASK LINZ. We're actually in the ground, I think, which is rather interesting for this game as well. So Flex has managed to get in, and hopefully we'll be in the press conference a little bit later as well, which means that we can, what I want to do a little bit later on in the show, maybe when the game's on, is try and get a gauge of what you lot would like to be asked if we can get in, and we can ask a question again, because it was a good question asked about Angel Gomez last night, so we might be able to do that again, which would be great. So we'll talk about that in a moment as well. But how are we all doing? Good evening, good afternoon, and welcome to the United Stand. Have we got the wrong lineup? I don't even know if the team news is out yet. It's just a guess. It's just a guess. And team news has been out for 11 minutes. That's always good. That's always a good start, isn't it? So the team news is wrong with regards to that. Oh, I'll tell you what, one of those days, people, one of those days. So the team news is Romero, Williams, Bailly, Maguire and Shaw. So Williams will play at right back. Fred, McTominay, Mata, Bruno Fernandes, James and Ighalo. So that's how United are lining up for the game today. And well, I will change that team news for you in post-haste. Very, very quickly for you, in fact. So that's how we're going to line up. I mean, I've got to say that there's a weird... Excuse me. Yeah, so I need to change the team news for you as well, but let me come back to live comments. Wrong lineup, says Sahil. It's like we've got Einstein in the live comments, isn't it? Apparently, everybody. Can I just tell everybody? Apparently, we've got the wrong predicted lineup, because Sahil's the first one to realise we've got the wrong lineup. Thanks, Sahil. None of us realised that. We've only been live for a minute. It's a predicted lineup. It's not the right lineup. We'll be changing that lineup now, Sahil. But if we didn't, if you hadn't have told us, then we wouldn't know. We wouldn't know, would we? So thank you very much for that. Sahil is the man of the match so far for telling us that the lineup is wrong. We will be changing the lineup, of course. I mean, it is rather frustrating, I would say, Ollie, because there's a lot of players I need to change, and that's never an easy task. But I'll crack on with it. You sit there and have your team talk. I'm quite surprised that Delow's not playing today. I've got to be honest. I would have thought that Delow would have been playing. I'll tell you what, I've definitely got allergies. Like, I've just had my dinner and my nose is going again. I've definitely got allergies. I don't know what it is. And before anybody comes out with something stupid about this virus, it's clearly not that, because it's not. I haven't got a sore throat or a cough. But so the midfield three. What's the midfield three? Yeah, I'm slow today. Oh, stop looking at myself. Fred, McTominay, Bruno, Mata, James, Ighalo. Mata, James, Ighalo. So it's Lingard out and Dan James in, and I think we're there. I think we're there. Export, desktop, LASK. There we go. Can't believe it. Maybe I'm allergic to doing live streams. Maybe that's the problem. Maybe I'm allergic to doing the live streams. So on the bench, Lingard's on the bench. No, Lingard's not on the bench. That's really interesting. No place for Lingard at all. No place for Lingard at the weekend. No place for Lingard today. The bench is De Gea, Lindelof, Twansebi, Andreas Pereira, Matic, Chong and Greenwood. I'm a little bit disappointed. We did ask the question yesterday, didn't we, about Angel Gomez. And no place for Angel Gomez today. Not even on the bench. No Lingard on the bench either. So that is your Manchester United lineup. Luke Shaw and Williams. Delow didn't travel anyway, so that's why that's the case with that one. Fred, McTominay, Bruno, James, Mata and Ighalo, with Maguire and Eric Bailly as centre-backs. Lindelof's on the bench, Twansebi is on the bench, and we've got Pereira and to Heath Chong on the bench. I think Greenwood's on the bench as well. I'm rather surprised that Greenwood's not starting today. Greenwood is on the bench, and Matic is on the bench as well. So a little bit light, but no Jesse Lingard. Chongi's on the bench, the Cov box, and no Jesse Lingard today. There we go. There was some courts. Lingard didn't travel, says Callum Wilson, which actually, to be fair, Flex did mention that to me earlier. There was some... oh, my nose is going like a bloody tap. Right, I pretty much know. I know what's causing it now. I had baked beans, fish fingers, chicken nuggets, oven chips, and barbecue sauce. One of those causes me my nose to go like a tap because it's been absolutely fine all day, and now it's not. There we go. We must suspend all games now, says Uza Ulma. Well, I was going to talk about that, Uza, and I'll talk about that when I'm not drowning myself in my own phlegm from my nose, but there we go. Ronaldo has quarantined himself, by the way, says Gary Stevens. And why is Williams playing at right back? Because I suppose it's a good idea to give Wan-Bissaka a rest, isn't it? I don't really have a major problem with that. But Flex is loving life. He's actually pitch side at the moment doing tweets and stuff. How the other half live. Thanks to you lot that we can actually afford to send Flex over to these games. How's Flex managed to get in is a rather interesting thing, isn't it? But he has. And the game is going ahead. I'm just keeping an eye on a few things here. Okay. Where is Diogo Dalot? Says I am United. I don't know. He didn't travel, is the honest answer. Be a private dancer. I tell you what, I'm a little bit. I'm not my normal self today because there's so. I feel like today is the start of this surrealness going around with regards to this big change that we know is all coming with not just football but everybody's day-to-day life. There was a point today where there was a rumour that this game was not going to go ahead. That was from Marca. Obviously it has gone ahead and that's a good thing, but there was some talk that it wasn't going to go ahead. So the game is still on numpty nut and the game isn't off. The game's not off. But there's a lot going on. There's, I think from next week, the Scottish Premier League is not going to allow anybody over 500 in games. I think we're going to get an announcement in the UK very, very soon, if we've not already had it, about social gatherings, which will impact on football. I think right now, the schools and colleges have closed in Ireland. There's meant to be some incoming news around what's going to happen in England, of course. It's just getting very, very, very serious. And I don't know with the... Well, let's just keep it to football because that's what we do know about. So in relation to the football, what's happening with the football is this, that we've got this situation whereby... fan cam, Flex will do a fan cam doob guy as well. But we've got this situation now where 3 Leicester players are in quarantine. They haven't tested positive yet for the virus, I don't think, but they're in quarantine. If they do test positive, then their whole team will probably have to go into quarantine for 2 weeks. And then I think that the Premier League becomes somewhat academic, really, because we've got a pandemic and you can't play games when you've got teams that can't play games. So I think the F1's probably going to get cancelled at the last minute, Liam Grogan as well. And even Tom Hanks has got it, says Unseen Reality. I blame Wilson. I mean, who else could he get it from on that island? But yeah, so I think that we are heading very... I think we're almost in borrowed time now with regards to this. Now, what the future holds for football, I don't know. What does the future hold for anything at the moment? There will be a future, of course there'll be a future, but we don't know what that future is going to be. My hope is that, it's a bit like Apollo 13 when it goes behind the moon. when it's behind the moon, all communication stops and you're just waiting to come out the other side. And I think this is a brilliant analogy that I think the world, as a human race at the moment, we're hurtling towards the moon. We're just about to go round the back of it. We don't know how long we're going to be round that back before we come round the other side back to Earth. So I don't know. I can't give you the answers on that at the moment. Martial is injured, yes. So I think that the game tonight wouldn't have surprised me if it had been cancelled at lunchtime. It's not been cancelled. It is going ahead. The game, the weekend against Spurs, at this moment in time, is going ahead. I think maybe it will be a closed behind doors game, or maybe it will be the last game with fans. I don't know. We're in that sort of unknown territory now. But I think so many other countries are sort of saying, like Austria, you're not having fans in the ground. So it would be surprising. And then I think we're heading, when that happens, I think we're heading towards suspension of the Premier League very soon as well. So yeah, I think that's where we are at the moment. And I'm surprised it's on TV, says Typical Gamer. Yeah, but all BT Sports games are on TV. Mike Mac D says, you're talking bollocks. Well, you know, Mike, you've not offered anything else up there on what is a very serious topic where people are actually dying. So I'd say you're talking more bollocks because you're not offering anything up. Like, what do you think's going to happen? Like, we're live, we're talking about a football match, but there's a bigger picture here. And basically, we're trying to guess when football's going to stop. But I will tell you this, Mike. You might think I'm talking bollocks, but I will tell you this for a fact. This Premier League is not going to carry on how you think it's going to carry on. We aren't going to carry on playing games the way we are. There will be at least a 2 or 3 week suspension at some point, and it's going to happen imminently. So you can think it's a load of crap. Wake up, smell the coffee, look at what's going on in the wider world. We ain't carrying on with football as we think we are. We're on borrowed time. Jonathan Nesbitt, update from the States. MLS is suspended for 30 days. NBA suspended indefinitely. College basketball tournaments cancelled. I saw that, Jonathan, as well. So these things are all, they're all coming fast, and we've got to get prepared. It's not been a great 2020, Edwin. It hasn't. And for anybody who's joining a little bit late, yeah, Leicester currently have 3 players in quarantine. But look, we're here to talk about Manchester United versus LASK Links. And I tell you what, even I, who and I'm sure many of you echo this, really looking forward to the game, but almost don't know what the purpose of the game is, in a way, because will we even see the second leg? Even if we see the second leg, will we see the next round of the Europa League? There was a rumour going around this morning that that UEFA wanted Roma and Inter to withdraw from the tournament because of the widespread illnesses in Italy, and Roma and Inter flatly refused, and that has sort of put the situation where we are. I mean, you can sort of see why they don't want that. There's many solutions. We spoke about the solutions before. Ideally, Euros 2020 gets cancelled for a year. And then I think what I would look at doing is, because somebody said to me today, yeah, but if you carry on playing football, look, what I said is this: stop the football as soon as possible till maybe end of April, start of May. That's 6, 7, 8 weeks, whatever, right? Start of May. We should be over the top of it. A lot of people will have had it. The pressure on the medical services around the world will have hopefully subsided. We're not going to get a cure for it, so we can't just spend a year living in a box. You know, I'm a man in a box. We can't do that. But what we need to do is get over the hump of what is going to be mass infection. So you start football. You stop football now. You start football again at the end of April, start of May. And then you've lost a month, haven't you? You've lost a month and a half, which means football normally closes in the middle of May anyway. Add a month and a half. Football goes to the end of July. So you start again in May, end it at the end of July, right? And then footballers have a 2 or 3 weeks off again, and then they come back and you start the season a little bit later. Maybe you start the season in late August, right? I had somebody say to me, well, then they'll only have a small break. They'll only have a small break. You can't do that. And I'm like, do you not realise we're operating in unprecedented times? The season may not start in August this year. It might have to start in October. It might have to start in September. We might have to get creative about what we do. You know, maybe everybody just plays each other once next year. You know, I know it sounds odd, but I think we are operating in that world now where the normal rules don't apply. Do you want to get this season finished? Like, we're not gifting Liverpool a title. They've got to finish the season to get it. So we've got to think outside the box. Mark, please point out that Williams is right-footed, says Harold Dreer. Do people not know? Do people not know this? Do people not know that Brandon Williams is effectively both-footed? He can play with his left and his right, but he's predominantly right. Mighty Chubb says no vaccine, nothing eventually. It will just disappear. The peak probably in April or May. And they have called it a pandemic because of the spread, not because of the deaths, says Thomas Richmond. Yes, you're right there. The reason they're calling it a pandemic is because it's basically spreading and they don't know the source. Like that, people are getting it now and they don't really know where they're getting it from. Like, you know, a couple of weeks ago, there was a guy, he'd been to China or something. He'd infected a couple of other people. They know where it is. Now it's just widespread. They don't know where it's coming from because so many people are getting it. Mohammed says that England's reaction's been a bit slow. We'll find out, won't we? The proof will be in the pudding. Either England reaction is slow, or I think what they're trying to do is that if they lock us down now, we could be locked down for 8 weeks. I think they're trying to find that sweet spot, aren't they, of not locking down too soon. Do you think schools will shut, says Tom Herwood? Yes, I do. The Australian Grand Prix has been postponed. And Zach Teller says Liverpool will lift the trophy without fans. They won't. They won't be lifting the trophy at all because I don't think we'll see another Premier League. I think we might see Premier League weekend this weekend. I don't think we'll see one next weekend. So, and we might not see this weekend. So Liverpool can't win the title this weekend. So they won't be lifting it in front of empty grounds. And Mark, why no Lingard today, says Aljoy. Apparently Lingard didn't travel today. So the subs are David De Gea, Lindelof, Twansebi, Matic, Pereira, Chong, Greenwood. So no Lingard, he didn't travel. I don't know what's going on with Lingard. I think Lingard is obviously suffering at the moment. Schools in the UK not being closed now, says PM. Banning sports events being considered but not yet. Dreadful leadership, indecisive and dangerous, says Trent C. What I would say about England is that, look, we are being advised by some of the best in the business in relation to health. This is not Boris Johnson sat there going, this is what I want to do. Boris Johnson is being advised by some of the best medical minds in the world, because we have some of the best medical minds in the world. We have one of the best national health services in the world as well. So I think people just need to try not to panic. I think you've got people like Piers Morgan who are constantly tweeting about it. I don't know whether Piers Morgan fancies a holiday in the Caribbean for the next month, because every bloody day he's tweeting about stop this, stop football, close it all down, shut it all down. I think he just wants a month off. Maybe he wants to write his memoirs. I'm a prat. I don't know what he's going on with. Like, why can't you just put your trust in the people who are, you know, more than qualified for these sort of things? It's not Boris Johnson doing it. He's been advised by people, and maybe we've got it right. Maybe waiting we've got it right, and if we get it wrong at the end, then that's the time to moan. But at the moment, let's just see. Carl says, honestly, I don't see the reason playing games without the fans. It's actually unwatchable for me. It's so awkward and lifeless. Well, Carl makes a very good point, because that's what we are here. We are football, aren't we? It's going to be very interesting to watch this game today with no fans in it, and I totally agree. I totally agree with this. That I don't really want to watch football with behind closed doors. I don't. I think it's. I think because this is a European game, maybe it's a bit novelty. But if we have to watch Spurs versus Manchester United at the Spurs Stadium and it's empty at the weekend, I think that's just odd, to be honest with you. Anyone got any toilet paper I can borrow? Says an Amanda Rake. It's funny actually. I was in the downstairs toilet before I started live, and the toilet had ran out, and the toilet paper had run out, and I shouted upstairs for some toilet paper, and then there was one by the side of the toilet. It's not that funny, is it? Please educate yourself. It's definitely not the flu, says Unseen Reality. And the match is not cancelled, Kamagolo Matthews. It's going ahead. And please say my name, Sir Azizi 90. There we go. Who do we constantly play? Why do we constantly play Bruno? He's going to gas out, says Mo P12. I actually thought there was an opportunity to rest Bruno tonight. I really did. We've rested Wan-Bissaka. Why do we always play Maguire though? Maguire and Bruno always start games, don't they? So I wouldn't have picked either of them tonight. But I don't know how. What I would say about tonight is something that's really not been discussed enough. Are we being unfair on LASK? I mean, are they awful, or are they actually, have they got something about them? And maybe we'll see in the first few minutes that's why. That's why Ollie's gone a little bit stronger than we may have expected him to go, because it's a difficult game, and maybe in the home game, if you get, if you go and win this game 3-0, maybe in the home game you don't do that. But I mean, we are living in that world now, aren't we? Is there going to be a home game next week? And I hope so. I hope there will be. I mean, we're just sort of keeping an eye on things at the moment. Rest Fred, please, says Paul Smith. Look, I think if I actually thought there was a prospect of us playing for the next month, I'd be like, why are we playing Fred, Bruno, and Maguire? But I just don't think we're going to see anything like that, to be honest with you. I don't see that happening. I think we won't be playing for much longer anyway. I can't stop listening to... Congratulations to Liverpool, says Kelly Western. Will the match be cancelled because of the... No, the match is going ahead. United stocks down 10%, says Israel Devers. Yeah, but I think everybody's struggling from that. I mean, let me just read out some of the statements from Boris Johnson, who is the Prime Minister. Some quite solemn statements here. He says there's no escaping the reality that this will cause severe disruption across the country for many months, but it will help slow the disease and save lives. He says things seem tough now, but remember we will get through this epidemic if we look out for each other and commit wholeheartedly to the national effort. The most dangerous period is not now, but some weeks away, depending on how far it spreads. However, new measures are going to be in place. Staying at home for 7 days if you have, however, mild, a new continuous cough or high temperature. Advise all those over 70s not to go on cruises, and advise against international school trips. He says that they're considering the question of banning major events, including sporting fixtures, not because of the spread of the virus, but because of the burden it puts on public services. He also says that schools should remain open. And he also said that we've done what we can to contain it, which has bought us valuable time, but it is now a global pandemic and the worst public health crisis for a generation. I must level with you, the British public, more families will lose their loved ones before their time. That's the crux of it for me. That's the statement there. Forget about whether sporting events are going to carry on. I think in the long term they won't. Forget about whether schools are going to close. I think in the long term they will. But that's the most sobering point here. I must level with you, the British public, more families will lose their loved ones before their time. And that, to me, is... We sometimes talk about things and it's very UK-centric. This is global. Absolutely global. We're all in this now and we're all in it together. So... in many ways, I'm glad this game's going ahead tonight because there's 10,000 of us live working through something that we've never seen before. Family doing okay, Mark, says Owen Ollie 97. They are at the moment. Thank you very much. I hope yours is well. I hope everybody's is well. We have got to try and get through this together. And Mark just clocked this might be Agallo's last start, says Nova. I mean, that's an interesting point, isn't it? We might not see Agallo play for Manchester United again, quite simply because we might not play again before his loan's over. And Shyam Sundar Singh says, sorry, I'm not sure if you spoke about this, but what happens if the season is scratched? Do we play Europa again? Stay safe, United Stand family. Lovely, lovely comment there. And I think that community is really, really important. What I would say, and from the point of the United Stand as well, what I would say is me and Flex and Drawty and a few others have been having a chat about things. We will endeavour to just carry on doing 8 o'clock live shows every night, as we always do. We've got some ideas for content as well over the however long it's going to be. And whether that means that we create our own FIFA tournament and we sort of do Manchester United FIFA games just to give us something to do, we'll do it. So make sure you subscribe, bottom right hand corner, and get involved. And that reminds me as well, a little bit later in the game, there is a good chance that Flex will be in the press conference for Ollie after the game. And we did ask him about Angel Gomez yesterday, and we might get a few questions in the press conference after the match. So what me and Flex have said is we're going to try and get a question or two from you lot. So when I say do it a little bit later, start putting the questions in, and we'll see what the ones are the best, and I'll certainly pass that over to Flex. And it might get read out, which would be great, which I think is great from the club as well to allow us to have that access. And I thought the best question of the press conference yesterday was about Angel Gomez, and that came from the United Stand. Hi Mark, love the channel. I can help you guys massively with the match you're selling. Sent you a DM on Instagram. Mike said, keep up the good work. And merch you're selling. Thanks, Mike said. Thank you very much. I'm not very good on Instagram, I must admit, Mike. So you might want to email me. And you think the Premier League is trying to hold out so they can crown Liverpool before suspending? Says Box of Oranges 84. Can I just say, in relation to that myth, this is a myth. Can I just say this is a myth? Because it is a myth, right? What people don't seem to understand, because they haven't thought it through, is that Liverpool can't win the... Say Liverpool had already won the league, right? Say they'd won it last weekend. If we suspend the league, Liverpool don't win the league. If the league gets cancelled, Liverpool don't win the league because they've already won it. Because the league's not completed. It's like running a race and everybody passes out and is disqualified, yeah? So Liverpool are winning the race. In fact, they've won the race because nobody else can catch them. No, everyone else has dropped out. But they don't. But the race gets postponed. They haven't won the race, even though they were winning it when it was postponed. You don't win a title until the league is over. They won't get the title. They shouldn't get the title because a season is a 38-game season. You can't say Liverpool have the title and Norwich you're relegated when there's games left. We're all in a 38-game system, and that's how it works. And if the Premier League bend the rules for that, then I think it's wrong. All scores claused in Norway, first time since World War II, says Alvin Johan. It is a generational thing. We will hopefully get through it though. And Hader Hammond says, usually when there's a major thing all over the media, there's something else happening in the world they don't want us knowing about. Once this is done, there will probably be 2 missing countries. That's proper flat Earth stuff, Hader, isn't it? Come on, what are you trying to say? And you think the Premier League is trying to hold us so that they can crown Liverpool before suspending? Box of Oranges. I think we've answered that one already. Did you know that Mason Greenwood has had the highest top speed recorded in the Premier League this season, according to Opta-Stats? That's mad. It is mad, Daft Bus. And just to talk about football a moment, because I think that's very important. Mason Greenwood has recorded the fastest speed this season. And you know Fred's in the top 5 as well. Solanke from Leicester. I mean, the funny thing is, the people who've recorded the fastest speed, I don't think are the fastest players. And I remember Rooney doing this once before, but they're not who you'd think are the quickest players. So I'm just looking at a list on BT here of football suspended in Spain, Italy, Portugal, Netherlands, Denmark, Austria, Switzerland, in relation to European teams. Still being played in France, of course. Still being played in Scotland, and probably till the weekend. This could be our last weekend of it, of course, but we will see. Please do subscribe if you're new, by the way. We're trying to get up to 680,000, which would be nice on a day of such uncertainty where we don't really know what's going on. Seeing if there's any more breaking news for you. Doesn't appear to be at the moment. But there is a game of football, and it's going to be a very surreal evening indeed. Yeah. And I can't wait for the game to kick off, because then we'll have something a little bit real to focus on, which is the football. If all leagues are cancelled, will Champions League? Who will be in the Champions League next season? Bashir, I think. Look, we don't know. We just don't know what's going to happen, do we? And I think the human mind wants answers. We don't like uncertainty, do we? It's a little bit like, what's at the end of space? Nothing. Well, you can't deal with that. You can't deal with the fact that Earth in a solar system is a tiny little dot in the wider space that may have no end. We deal in absolutes. The human mind has to have a resolution. We don't like it to be open. But at the moment, we're living in a world that's open. We don't know what the situation is going to be. We don't know how long this is going to take. And I think what you need to look at is probably China. And China, this was really bad in China in January and February. We're not even halfway through March, and it seems to be tailing off. So we've probably got this until May, I would think. Schools can shut. They're predicting up to 20% of the workforce could go off because of this virus. Comes down to the fact single parents can't afford it and the work sector can't afford it, says Stephen Lilly. And Young Knockout says, if Premier League gets postponed, Spurs could get their players back from injuries and be a challenging side again when we play them. I mean, no issue with that. You know, sometimes you've got to find a positive. You know, I heard somebody today saying that United, if this did get postponed, we'd have Marcus Rashford back. If it got postponed, Spurs would have Son, Bergwijn and Harry Kane back. It would be like, I mean, I even thought about this today. If, and hopefully, fingers crossed, we do get to this situation where if the league is suspended, we get it back on track maybe in May. When it comes back in May, it's going to be like a mini-season, isn't it? And everybody's sort of going to have... I mean, look, the reality is, if you're a player, let's pretend your name's Cristiano Ronaldo or Marcus Rashford, and you play a full season, there is no pandemic, you play a full season, then you go to your country for Euros, you do well in the Euros, that takes you to like the 10th of July, then you have 2 or 3 weeks holiday, and then you're back training for the new season. You literally have 2 or 3 weeks off. If this suspension happens, and you're Cristiano Ronaldo, which it has happened, he's got a month off. He's probably got 2 months off. You never get that, even in the summer. Even if there's no major transfer, even if there's no major tournament, you've still got friendlies at the end of the season. The most a high-end footballer really ever gets is about 4 weeks in the summer. They're about to get maybe 8 weeks. Maybe 4, 6, 8 weeks they're about to get off. So they're going to get a bigger break than they normally get in the summer in April and May. So this is what I mean. I think if they do come back, it's going to be like a new season. And I would say, come back, finish the season, have another couple of weeks off, and then start a new season. Or maybe come back, finish the season by the end of June, take a month off, come back, pre-season training, start the season at the start of September. And get creative about how you can find some gaps. Because they could do that. Can't believe Gomez isn't involved at all, says Gerard Kennedy. For Gomez, how can it be convincing to stay? For his own development, he really should leave. I just think United are freezing him out because he hasn't signed a contract. And it hurts me to see people worrying more about trophies than when people are struggling for money to support their kids and parents, says Fitness Unscripted Sharath Kamath. And Rooney Stenson says, people are hysteric now, but imagine what would happen if internet was suspended for 2 to 4 weeks. You know what? It's interesting, Rooney, isn't it? Because I was thinking this today. What do you do? What do you do if they close all the schools? Every bit of sports stopped. You can't go to the cinema either. You can't go down the pub, really. You can't go down the restaurant, because these are all places that people don't want to be in at the moment. So all these things are not on. All you've got then is your phone, your internet, your TV, and I think it's going to be very, very difficult. This is why, fingers crossed, those things will still be all right, and we can do... I think I'm going to have to do more going for Goldbridge, aren't I? I'm going to have to subscribe to my channel, Mark Goldbridge, because that's non-football related. I'm going to have to start doing more sort of content on there, I think, and Matt's Football and on here. So interesting times ahead. But look, you know, our previous generations went through 2 world wars. We're not doing that. We're going through something very, very different. And I think one thing that's probably worth reading about is the Spanish flu of 100 years ago, and seeing how that had an impact on the world as well, because I think that may have been worse than this, but we'll see. Jack Double, thank you for the contribution. Please do subscribe to the channel if you're new, bottom right hand corner. And Monsieur Jock. I was very tempted to read that out, but I think it's highly offensive, so I just won't read it. Flex post-game interview just popped up in our local Spanish TV channel where the game is being broadcast. Flex post-game interview just popped up in our local Spanish TV channel where the game is being broadcast, says Dennerly. And what time's kickoff? Kickoff is in half an hour, mate. So it's 5:25 UK time, and it's a 5:55 kickoff. So yeah, half an hour for that. And Rashford or Aubameyang, says Irish Gooner. And Mark, look forward to spending the next 2 weeks with you as I'm off, says the best soccer highlights HD. I mean, look, I do and have done Manchester United FIFA career mode and Manchester United football manager mode, and I've always done it on That's Football, which a lot of you do subscribe to as well. And I will do stuff on that channel as well, but is it worth doing that on here? This is a hypothetical, so I will listen to you lot. If football gets suspended for 6 weeks, and I don't think the transfer window is going to be open either, so it's not like we're going to get daily transfer news, is it worth doing like a FIFA career mode on here just for a bit of entertainment, or is that a no? Hi Mark, do you like rugby? Says Jack Doobie, or Dobby. Doobie's something a little bit different. Dobby. I do like the rugby. And again, that's been interrupted. I like the Formula One. That's been interrupted. I think there's going to be a lot of Netflix and chill, isn't there? Maybe we can do a Netflix watch along. This is Alhag Gaming, and a lot of people say no. Some people are saying yes. I have done FIFA on this channel before, and people don't tend to like it. Year 10's a nightmare. Love school to be cancelled, says RGTFC. The thing is, it will still be there when you come back. Closing schools won't help much because of... but they can still carry it, Leslie. Mark, what lots of people are underestimating is the economic crisis that is bound to follow with all these quarantines. Seems to be worse than 2008, says Sam Sarandev. Well, look, I don't want to be a boring person here, but I obviously... a lot of the work I've done is sort of self-employed work. So I've got my own private pension, and in the last week, I've lost 10%. So that's only in the last week. So because obviously pensions are putting your money into shares, and that's normal, that has happened 10 years ago as well. But the economic cost is the most important thing is the loss of life and the damage that causes. Of course, that's way up there, but also people's livelihoods are going to be lost. People are not going to have things done. People are not going to go and buy cars. People are not going to get their windows changed. People are not going to go to a restaurant. People are not going to be out buying clothes. It's just, people are just going to batten down the hatches, and they're not going to spend money because they don't know, because they're going to be losing money. So it's a massive, massive, massive issue. And that with the same for football clubs. Look at the clubs that Manchester United will be fine. They might not go and spend 100 million in the summer because they've lost a bit of money, but look at clubs like, I don't know, they might be well-run clubs, but your Rochdales, your Morecambes, your Dagenham and Redbridge, these clubs that probably can't afford not to have revenue for 6 weeks. Ian Fonseca, hi Mark, I recently got into accident while delivering food. Your videos helped me through it. Singapore, we were the highest infected outside China. Measures controlled it here, hoping for a win. Yes, Singapore's reaction to it and South Korea has been very good. Welcome to Sean Simonson and Kar Sang Sia, the latest members of the United Stand Members Club. Thanks for joining, lads, supporting the channel. To be honest with you, that could be a big problem for us over the next few weeks. We've spent a lot of money over the last few months with Europa League trips and a couple of other things which you'll see coming up in the next few weeks. And this is coming at a bad time for us, really, when you spend money out expecting, don't want to be blunt and say money coming in, but when you're doing your content, you can sort of predict how things are going to go, and this is what it's going to be like for a lot of people. So thanks for your support. And question for Ollie: why doesn't he play the 4-3-3 anymore? Says Salem Hersey. I tell you what, it's a great question, that, and I'm going to keep that down as a contender. Question for Ollie: yeah, we've done that. Yeah, we've done that one. What about the transfer market? How will it be conducted? Says Rahul. I mean, we're dealing in hypotheticals. Well, I said this last night, and ultimately, the world isn't great, is it? It's not going to be a great place with what's going on. So you've got to think about ways that you can make things good. And I just think that if we can cancel football for a couple of months, then that's the way it's going to be. But I would almost think, well, should we not open the transfer window now? And then somebody was like, well, how can you open the transfer window when people can't even like go and have a medical and stuff like that? And I'm like, well, yeah, there's such thing as Skype. You've got to think outside the box. And yeah, I don't know about classic match watch-alongs of the Black Devil. We've tried them before and they don't do as well as you'd think. But I think career mode's a good idea, and we'll certainly come up with some ideas. Bit of karaoke. Yeah, well, we'll still do. What we still will do is we'll still be doing the 8 o'clock shows every night. We might have to do call-ins and Q&As, and there'll always be something to talk about anyway. The whole point is that we've got to try and carry on doing what we are doing, isn't it? Please do subscribe to the channel if you're new. We're 300 away from 679,000 in the top right hand corner, so please subscribe to the channel if you're new, and share the video. Thanks everyone who's tuning in at this odd time. Question for Ollie: when will United play fast attacking football? Yeah, you know, if you get into a press conference, right, if you ask a rude question, you won't get asked in again. So if Frex puts his hand up and says, Ollie, when are you going to start playing attacking attractive football again? It's just rude in a professional way. So you've got to, the question can be good, but it can be phrased better. So, you know, I would say in that situation, Ollie, like the previous person said, the first 3 months you played a 4-3-3 with one holding midfielder. This season we've been playing two holding midfielders a lot. Is that the way forward, or would you like to, or do you think you'll ever go back to that way of playing one holding midfielder? Because what that basically is your question asked in a more professional, polite way. Welcome to Alex Baldrick, latest member of the United Stand Members Club. Remember, if you do join, you get a little badge next to your name, you get access to the emojis, and also if you go to the homepage and go to the community tab, our members put the questions in for the podcast, which we are recording tomorrow, so those questions will get answered. I think the resting Bruno thing is quite a good one as well. I've just seen somebody mention that. In fact, it's come from CR Miftari. And Jack Winstanley, we did ask about Gomez yesterday, so it would be asking the same question. We basically asked him yesterday about Gomez and said, you know, will he be, you know, is there hope that he'll sign a contract? And I think that's the reason he's not playing at the moment, is because he won't sign a new contract. And Ollie said that he hopes in the short and long term that Gomez sees himself as a Manchester United player. So it's very much the ball's in his court. Wan-Bissaka has been left home injured, says Aaron Such. And 7-0 United win, says Karita Janga. What are we going for in relation to the score predictions then? Do you think that United are going to win tonight? I don't know anything about this opposition. The only thing I would say is that I didn't say it on the preview yesterday, and I really wish I had. What about how good did you think that AZ Alkmaar were? Because I know we trounced them in the second half at Old Trafford, but I thought in the first half they were good, and I think in the first leg they should have beat us. Well, they got knocked out by LINZ, or LASK. Do you call them LASK or LINZ, or do you call them LASK-LINZ? So they knocked AZ Alkmaar out. And I thought AZ Alkmaar at times looked a better footballing team than us, which they probably were. But maybe AZ Alkmaar weren't that good. Is there a crowd today, says Zox. No. Which I don't know. It's going to be very interesting, isn't it? I don't know how we as fans are going to perceive this. We very rarely would watch a game with no fans. In fact, we probably never would we? So it's going to be an interesting one to get your head around there. 3-1 to LASK, says Simba96. And Ali Jarbi says it will be 3-1 to United. Would you rather keep Pogba on, sell him and buy Grealish and more, says Reece John. And I think that these are the sort of things that... I tell you what, we'll do that as well while we're live. Ideas for programmes if football gets suspended for 6 weeks. So I will take down good ideas as well, because this is what this channel has always been. It's a democracy, and we do like to get lots of different opinions. So if you've got any sort of good programme ideas we could do whilst this inevitable break happens, then that would be appreciated. We tried to bring in strikers, i.e. Lukaku and Zlatan. I think it's time we go a different route and get forwards that can interchange positions, says Yassa said. Exactly, this is why I would like Timo Werner. And Devi Jar says, hi Mark, after Sunday's game against Man City, Aaron Wan-Bissaka emptied his pocket and Sterling fell out, says... And Fitness and Scripted Sharath Kamath says, I don't think Ollie is the man, but if we win a Premier League in the next 2-3 years, I will make sure Ollie is a part of it. Thanks for the super chats there. Really appreciated those. They are... I can't give it away. I can't give it away because it's 95% going to happen. And it's massive for the channel. And it's not bloody David Beckham coming on or anything like that, because to be honest with you, as much as I'd like David Beckham to come on, that's not really what the channel's about. I'd rather have a call-in or the fan cams than just interview players who can't really say too much, because as much as they're legends and I like them, they're not fans who will say what they think. So it's not that. it's something really, really exciting. And hopefully next week, regardless, unless something bad happens, of course, it will happen. Very excited about it. So all I can say is people who do the super chats, become members, though that really does help to what we're going to show you next week. And and of course, everybody, regardless of that, you're a massive part of why this channel is able to do what it's going to do next week as well. So thank you to everybody. Support for United Stand. United We Stand says, I love this game. Niagan says, Mark, I read that UEFA is meeting next Tuesday to postpone all Europa and Champions League matches till mid-April. You heard from me first. There you go. Well, thank you for that. I know there is a meeting next Tuesday. And I think that is a lot to do with the Euros. And but they will be discussing that as well. United got better when Maguire and Fred realised they were leaders with Bruno. We had no leadership before January, says Sean O'Sullivan. Yes, and cooking with Mark, says Owen Ollie 97. People actually are putting ideas in, which is very, very interesting. Rashford news, says Lee Venner. Well, I think Rashford was always going to be back in April, so I think whenever things come back, we will see Rashford. And there we go. I'm just writing some of these down. Some good ideas. Feels like Bruno will score today after they subbed him against City twice, says Chief Whip. And EastEnders watch along. I don't even watch EastEnders. Do you think Pogba or Fernandes will lead midfield? I think Fernandes will always play in the more advanced position, NPA C20. And I was on an interview this weekend, the young lad that looked like Billy Gilmore, Saseki Tukanko. Question for Ollie. Last season, a lot of players departed from the club. Will there be any players departing this summer, says Harvey Holden. And James should just beam it down the wing, says Corey. I mean, look, you know what? Actually, now that we're closer towards the game, I am actually quite excited. We're only sort of 17 minutes away from kickoff now. And it will be nice to just watch a game of football, I think. Mohammed Colley says, I'm addicted to the United Stand. There's worse things to be addicted to. Do you have Mark, United have had more goal scorers in this competition than any other team, says Kyle Middleton. And Ali Harrington says, could you do tutorials? First one, how to tie your shoelaces. I actually hated learning how to tie my shoelaces when I was a kid. I bloody hated it. It was one of them things I just didn't like at all. I really didn't. So, I tell you what, it's one of the most difficult watch-alongs I've ever done, and I'm not looking for a violin because it would be the world's smallest violin. That's not what I'm saying it for. It's just a very, very difficult time, and I do want to send that message out, what I said on Twitter today. I mean, I've never made a secret of the fact that I used to work in the police, and I remember the riots happening, and it was just a very weird time from what your normal time is. Like your normal job, yeah, you do respond to stabbings and stuff like that and terrorist incidents, etc. But those riots were just, you'd never have predicted that the country was just going to start smashing up shops every night, and it was just a very, very weird time. But we responded. The fire service, the paramedics, the A&E, the nurses, the police, everybody came together. Now this, what we're about to go into, I think is going to be a lot worse than those riots. It's going to go on for a lot longer. But it will be those people, again, the emergency services, wherever they are, not just in the UK, those people are the people that are going to, help us through this. So I just want to give a big shout out to them because I don't think they always get the respect they deserve. And without those, it would be a broken society. But we've got a big part to play in this as well. And I think we're going to have to be patient. I think social media and the modern world that we live in really does light the touch paper for impatience and opinion. And I think at this point we are going to have to trust the experts. Like, we're not experts. Piers Morgan's not an expert. And it's a shame he's got such a big Twitter following, and it's a shame some people do, because they just spurt out uneducated crap because they think we should close schools now, or they think we should do this. And I think we've got to be patient and go with it, because a lot of people's lives are at risk, and like the Prime Minister said, that some of our relatives are going to die before their time. I mean, when do you think a Prime Minister is going to say that? You never think a Prime Minister is going to say that. So this is the harsh reality. And I know I've got family members that if they get this, they're screwed. So it's a very, very serious time. And I think we've just got to try and stick together on it. And that's a global thing as well. And it has been a very weird situation. So I'm looking forward to the game just kicking off so we can get on with it. Welcome to a couple of new members. Welcome to Aaron Vino and Matt Kent, latest members of the United Stand Members Club. And Lingard, Jones, Andreas, Rojo, Alexi are the next to leave United. I think that I wouldn't disagree with... I wouldn't disagree... they probably won't all leave Colliday, but I wouldn't disagree with Lingard, Jones, Pereira, Rojo and Alexi. I think if I could get rid of any 5 players, they would be the 5. There's actually nobody else. I think if you'd asked me a few months ago, I probably would have thrown Matic in there, but Matic has responded to the chance he's been given. Those players haven't responded. Pereira, Lingard, Jones, they just haven't responded. Rojo, I mean, Rojo's on loan, isn't he? I was going to say, is he injured again? No, he's on loan. And Sanchez is just a drain, isn't he? Ishan Pundi says, Mark, love the channel. It's very insightful and addictive. If Ollie wins the FA Cup, Europa League and gets top 4, how much longer would you give him? Well, that's a very interesting question, isn't it? Surely, in relation to Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, Rojo's in Argentina, burning toast, Han Wen. I think he's on loan. He's on loan in Argentina, really. But how could Ole Gunnar Solskjaer get replaced if football gets postponed? How could you replace him? Because you never know what the answer is. It would be very unfair to sack him when we don't know what the solution is going to be yet. So I think Ole at the moment is in a very, very strong position, isn't he, with regards to his future at Manchester United. We are just coming up for 10 minutes before kick-off. Thanks everybody for tuning in. Please do subscribe to the channel if you are new. Bottom right hand corner for that one. And I await your comments as ever. Just got a message coming in here. I'm just going to see who it's from. God, yeah, not reading that one out live on air. Sell Martial and get Timo Werner, or not sell Martial and get Timo Werner, says Ayabid. Mate, you could have changed Werner for Neymar. I'm still not selling Anthony Martial. He's our player. I don't get rid of those. And Mark, what FIFA rating would you give yourself, honestly? Utkash Gupta. What now? Pace of 10. Passing ability of 98. In my prime, well, look, I wasn't a professional footballer, so it'd be very unfair, but I think my position, really, I don't know, what position do you lot play in if you did play? For me, when I was very young, I used to be a little bit like Steve McManaman. Not because I like McManaman, but everyone just said because I was quite... I'm 6 foot, but I was 6 foot at 14. And when you're 6 foot at 14, you're quite big. But I was always quite a skillful player. So I was tall, gangly and skillful. Then everyone caught up with me and I sort of became... And my pace sort of... They caught up with me for pace and height. So I couldn't really be a winger anymore. So then I sort of dropped into the midfield. And I could play a sort of CDM role as I got older. I used to play sweeper as well. I've always been a good reader of the game. So a bit like a Carrick, I sort of evolved into that sort of a player. But I was more of a tackler than Carrick. And I could dribble. Stay safe, Mark, and your family. Lovely comment there from Aaron. So, hi, I love your channel and I live in Canada. This is Aaron Vino. Thank you very much for that. And Mark Meb3 says, imagine how good James would be if he had any ability. He's just a Welsh Jesus Navas. Well, I think that's a bit unfair. He's got time on his side. And Hayes Skills says, stay safe, Mark, and your family. Stay safe to everybody. I think that's the most important thing. And try and look after those people who are vulnerable. Whether we know them or not, let's try and let's be careful. I mean, I've got to be honest. Things I'm doing, whether people want to listen to me or not, I am washing my hands a lot all the time. Like, I'm washing my hands a hell of a lot. I am cleaning down surfaces. I am trying not to touch my face, which I'm terrible at. which is why I need a bloody shave, because when I'm always doing this when I've not had a shave. So I am trying, and I think we've all got to try and do that, and I think the sobering point here is we all know somebody who's vulnerable, and in relation to this, and as I said last night, even if you don't, think about Sir Bobby Charlton, think about Sir Alex Ferguson, people who are over 70, and they are the people that are vulnerable from this. And it may be people younger, we don't know, it probably will happen with people younger, but statistically, if you're over 70, I think it's like a 3 or 4% or 5% or maybe 10%, I don't know, but it's quite high. I can use both feet to shoot, Mark. I'm lethal, says White Owl. We'll take your word for it, pal. And Alex Marmon, as bad as the current situation is, will the inevitable delay to football actually help us and allow us to go for success in all competitions? Yeah, but it benefits everybody, doesn't it? It benefits everybody. Flex and Josh on TV, what were they doing? I didn't see it because I'm too busy talking to you lot, and I've got it on. Mark, do a fun football challenges with you and a couple of mates in real life, not FIFA. Keep up the positivity. And that's from Alex Baldrick. That's a good idea. Just writing down ideas that we can do for content over the next 6 weeks if there's no football. This is why the transfer window should be opened up. I think that would be really useful. And NHL has been suspended. National Hockey League as well, says Buster Erickson. And Mark, yeah, I've done that from Alex Baldrick. I think that's the sad thing, isn't it? Because a lot of people, sport is an escape, whether it's F1, hockey, basketball, football, rugby, snooker, whatever it is, sport's something that you look forward to. And when you have that taken away, and then you've got the worry of relatives and friends and family, and also the worry of financial, this is not a great situation, is it? It's not a great situation to be in. And I know there's people out there who just want school to get closed so they don't have to get to school, and some people are thinking they're in a quite comfortable job where they can work from home, so they're looking forward to that. But for a lot of people, it's not something to look forward to. And Josh Sutton says, I'm employed as a professional cleaner, so many businesses are subcontracting me to sterilise and disinfect common areas. I hope we all stay healthy. See, Josh is, that's, somebody's doing well out of it. Maybe, I don't know. And Paul Robinson says, exactly, Mark, sport is the getaway, now what? We're all going to be on YouTube, aren't we, watching bloody... They'll have to put those Premier League ears on and stuff like that. I mean, how is Sky going to fill their channels? Because they're going to have to start showing... I mean, it's easier for them, actually. They'll be able to start showing, like, classic Premier League years and stuff like that, I suppose. And Jace Malas says, I'm actually extremely worried for a lot of football managers. Most of them are older and are more vulnerable to getting sick. Well, look, this is true. This is very true. This is very, very true. And I'm not, I saw somebody quite sickly today saying, guess the first celebrity to die from this virus. The harsh fact is somebody will. 100%. So, yeah, this is. I mean, Tom Hanks had it, didn't he? I think he'll be all right because he's not that old. But it will happen. It will happen. And the worst thing is that I think I was watching an interview with a woman from Italy, and she was saying that her auntie had died in her home, that she couldn't go to. She used to go and see her a lot. She couldn't go in their home because they had the virus in there, so people weren't allowed in. And then they phoned her to say that she died, and then she couldn't go to the funeral either because you can't have gatherings. So it's just a totally different way, isn't it? Sari had a lung problem a few months ago, says Invictus Tracks, exactly. Live cooking or baking on the Mark Goldbridge channel, says Keep Metal Alive E100. And I'm actually writing it down. Cooking. No idea is a bad idea until it gets wiped off. We did a 99 rewatch before Jake Bullman, actually for the anniversary of it last year, and not many people watched. So those things don't actually work. I don't think classic old things work. As much as I find them interesting, not a lot of people do. As JB10 says, you've also got the scenario where people have got exams at GCSEs, A-levels. It's very disruptive. It's very disruptive indeed. It's not the sort of thing you can sit and do at home as well, because you'll cheat. So, yeah. I nearly opened the wrong thing there. I'm glad I didn't. Nothing sinister, don't worry. So we have got a few other games going on as well tonight, haven't we? I must remember to keep an eye on those as well, because I think the game that really surprised me the most is the Wolves game, because their owner Olympiacos actually has got this thing, and that's why Arsenal didn't play last night. But look, a lot of people are saying, what do you think is going to happen? Total prediction here, and have been right I've been right, I've been wrong. The only thing the only expertise I'm using here is that I used to work in emergency services, and it's nothing to do with football, this isn't. I'm just trying to sort of use that risk-averse thing. Now, I'll tell you a risk-averse story here. I used to work in Birmingham city centre, and there was trouble. Birmingham City were playing Aston Villa. Now, St Andrews is about a 5-minute walk from the centre of Birmingham. No, probably 10-minute walk, to be fair. And they were fighting down this main street into Birmingham city centre, and they were coming past the police station I was in. And I was on the radio with a few other people saying, we're going to go out and try and disperse. And we were told to stay in the police station. Now, I felt exactly the same. I'm like, we're the emergency services. There's people fighting out in the street, and you're telling us to stay in for our own safety. If we don't go out and stop it, who else is going to go out and stop it? So I'm fully aware of how the world works in relation to government and risk aversion. And what I think is going to happen, the players are coming out now. Alex Marmon says live football quiz nights and watching old matches. That's not a bad idea. But what I think is going to happen is this. I think we're obviously going to play the game tonight in empty stadium. I think we're going to see Premier League games played this weekend, and then that's it. I think that'll be it. I think this weekend will be the last weekend of Premier League football. And then I would predict we will go through... I don't think they'll be able to bring football back until May. That's what I think will happen. And whether they will or they won't, I don't know, but that's what I think. Kara Singh Sia says, Mark, this channel is like a podcast to me because I always listen to you while you're live while I'm working. Thanks, Kara. And Salah Ahmed said, is Ollie making the same mistake with Bruno as he did with Fred, playing them every game in fear of burnout and injury? Look, as I said, if I thought we were going to play the next few games, then I would say that. But I don't think we've got many games left. I mean, look at this. It's an empty stadium. We knew. I don't know. I'm saying like that, I'm shocked. We knew it was going to be an empty stadium. But it's an empty stadium. Like, it's just surreal. And can I just say as well, now more than ever, if you're on Instagram, get yourself on. Let me just make sure he's doing it. If you're on Instagram, get yourself onto the United Stand Instagram page, because Flex is putting up stories of the game. The United Stand TV we are. And he's actually in the ground, as you can see. Hopefully you can see that. It's not great. It's probably because of the green screen. But yeah, he's in the ground, so you can get the atmosphere within the ground. The United Stand TV on Instagram. You can check that out. Please do. But yeah, it's just very, very weird to see the situation here and how empty it is. But we're about to kick off anyway. 54 minutes past, and it should kick off at 55. Hey Mark, love the channel. Is Ollie playing a strong team because the feeling is that this could be the last game for a while? Stay safe, everyone, says Dylan Sups. You might be onto something there. How are the players going to celebrate a goal, says Lachlan Roker Hayes? Well, I think in relation to that, let's not forget that these players train every day. As Ollie said, there will be games where they play behind closed doors anyway. The games behind closed doors are actually quite common. just as games to get, United might play Rochdale, nobody will know about it, it's just behind closed doors, so it's not an official game, it's a game to get people going. But this is a really weird situation, without a shadow of a doubt. Jamie said it doesn't look like Premier League games are going to get suspended anytime soon. As of now, and it's a very changeable situation, Boris Johnson has come out and said they'll look at sporting events in the future. They're not going to close schools at the moment. So I do think we will play Spurs on Sunday. Whether we'll play again after that, I don't know. Sancho, Grealish, and Agallo, or Sancho, Jude, and Werner, says Harry Cody. You get your answers in the live comments there. But this is the stark contrast of where we are. For anybody who thinks it's just the flu, or anybody who just thinks this is going to go away, it's not going to go away. It's a real problem. And you look at the pitch there, and we're about to sit and watch a football match. And it's a bit like the Etihad, yes, Carito Janga. We're about to watch a football match, and there's no fans there. I mean, I've actually muted it. I don't normally hear anyway, because I've got nothing in my ears. But sometimes I do listen, but it confuses me a little bit. I don't need to. There's nothing to listen to. So we're about to kick off here. It'd be interesting to see if United, because we're the better team, it's going to be interesting to see if United have the advantage because we're the better team and there's no fans. But we've kicked off here. Brandon Williams hitting a long ball there, and I tell you what, I must just say I'm really happy that the game's kicked off, because that last hour talking, look, we've got to talk, that's the right thing to do, but it's nice. This is what Paul Robinson was on about, one of our moderators. This is what I'm talking about as well. Sport is our escapism. You might be unhappy in your job. You might have fallen out with your girlfriend or boyfriend. You might not have a boyfriend or girlfriend. You might have a family member who's ill. You might have money problems, but you can watch a game of football and escape. And we're not going to be able to do that through one of the most difficult times in recent history. And that's why this is nice. This is nice tonight for us, everybody who's watching, to be able to sit and watch a game of football. Sophie says, I hate how quiet it is. Well, don't worry, I'm not going to be quiet. Anyway, United have got a free kick here. It's early. It's a long way out, and we've just hit it short to Bruno. But interested to see what LASK are all about, by the way. I don't really know what they are all about. Will they be able to cause United problems? Remember, Brandon Williams is playing at right back today. Eric Bailly's back playing, and Agallo was nearly in there. I think if he'd anticipated that, he would have been in. But keeper's out, and there's that long ball that LASK like to play into their front three, who are quite physical. But United have started off quite well here. McTominay trying to feed it into Dan James, and it's back with their keeper there. So I didn't give my score prediction, did I? My score prediction, I think I'm going to go... I gave it in the preview. I said 3-0, maybe 4-0. I think I'm going to stick with that. I think United will probably not have to get out of fourth gear to win this today. Yeah, I'm going to ask him. Ripadan Singh says, can get Flex to shout, because we'll be able to hear him. I'll ask him. There we go. What should I get him to shout? And then we might hear him. I'm Portuguese and a supporter of Sporting Portugal. I've been following you since Bruno left for Manchester United. O nosso Portuguese magnifico, says Joa Pedro. Hey, Joa, get a t-shirt. Link in the video description. United Stand t-shirt collecting. We've got a brand new Bruno Fernandes t-shirt. It says Bruno and it's got Portuguese magnifico on it. So you probably like that. And Lee Taylor, I don't like the fact no fans in the stadium. Can we start a trend? It's like the Etihad. Hashtag. Well, yeah. This is what I mean. I mean, some people are like, oh, you've got to keep the football going. And even I was saying this a week ago. Oh, I don't want football to stop. Just play it behind closed doors. But when you see the reality of behind closed doors, it's eerie. They call it a ghost match in Germany, by the way. If it's a game behind closed doors, they actually call it a ghost match. Yeah, Ollie, get him to sing Glazers Out. Flex says I can't shout or I'll get thrown out. He's probably sat in with the rest of the press, to be fair. Will Leicester games be suspended then, says Zed Jamie. So Leicester City have had 3 players who are in quarantine at the moment, aren't they? But I don't think they've tested positive. And Ewan Hacking says, one positive I guess is Pogba will defo be fit by the time the season starts again. So will Rashford. But as I said, I mean, I think United will be a better team with Rashford, and we are a better team at the moment. We'll be a better team with Pogba. But everyone else will be better as well. I mean, look, City will probably have Laporte and Sane back. Spurs will have Kane and Son back. So everybody benefits from it. I can't think of a major club. Chelsea will have a lot of their players back, won't they? Because they've been missing a lot of players. It would be like a mini season starting again. But United have got a lot of space here for Bruno to run into. I thought he was going to shoot. Don't know why he didn't shoot there. Fred will shoot over the bar. I think Bruno should have had a shot off his right there. He sort of had the shot on from about 30 yards, moved it to his left, laid it off to Fred. He needs to learn that Fred can't shoot from the edge of the box. What is the bench, says John O'Connell. I will tell you the bench, John. The bench is, not the John, that's something completely different. The bench is, I don't do a dance when it's the bench, I've got a bad back. The bench is De Gea, Lindelof, Twansebi, Matic, Pereira, Greenwood and Chong. LINZ are actually on the attack here. Bruno there, look, fighting in. That's a foul by Luke Shaw. Yellow card? No, it won't be a yellow card, foul. And here's a good point, actually. The Red Devil says this. Would a Premier League delay screw up the transfer window? Yes, it would. Because the transfer window starts at the end of May, doesn't it? So if we're still playing games, it will screw up the transfer window. I personally think they should open the transfer window early. Like if we're not playing football for 6 weeks, why not just open the transfer window? They can all these things can be done. Like they could just say this is a mini break, and the transfer window's open again. He's got big ears, and yeah, they could just do that. And if Pogba went to Real Madrid now, I mean, nobody would buy anybody though, would they? I suppose that's the problem. Yevra says, hi Mark, what do you think of Jonathan David from Ghent? Do you think he'd be a good for us? Says Yevra. I haven't seen enough of him, to be honest. That's a crap free kick from them. Haven't seen enough of him to know. And it's like watching an under-18 game, says David Adams. And I feel your pain, exact same problem, says Robert Lapsey. Hi Mark, what is your opinion about the 3,000 PSG supporters celebrating with the players outside the stadium? Says Josh and Alexander. Oh, I'll tell you what, PSG can do one. I bloody hate them. I thought what they did to Haaland was just despicably bad taste, and I don't like the word bully because they weren't bullying, but ultimately that's the mentality of a bully. That's why people do bully. Agallo, keep us off his line. I mean, they basically all sat down and copied his celebration, didn't they? So you're trying to humiliate him. I think it's disgusting. And I know some people say, well, it's banter. I think, they're better than that. I tell you what, Agallo is breaking the line a little bit here. We're looking for that ball over the top a lot, and he's proving to be an asset. He's got a lot of power, Agallo, and he's looking sharper as well. He's offside there, though. Score prediction, 3-0 United. PSG have got no respect, says Sophie. And DK Falcon says, the game is weird without the fans. For Chong, Williams and City should be familiar, says Dave Tapgun. And Sally Devil Red 7 also says PSG have got no class. Luke Shaw on a run forward here into Bruno. Nice little ball. Dan James gives it to Bruno. Bruno whips it in. Back post. Mata lays it off. It was a good layoff, and I think Luke Shaw, if he was a forward, might have anticipated that. You can't blame Shaw, really, because he's not a forward. Good tackle by Brandon Williams there. Nice to see Brandon Williams playing at right back as well, which shows his, I nearly said diversity. That's not the word, is it? Shows his adaptability. I'm sure he's a very diverse individual as well. I think 1-0 without the fans, says Becky Baker. I think United will find their way into this game. I think you can already see that United have got the better quality, if that makes any sense. Mark, I'm really intrigued. Did Flex have to pay a ticket price to enter the stadium? Wouldn't that be weird, says Druvshot. Yeah. So basically, Flex is in the game watching it. But the story as to how that happened is that we had already paid to go over there, and we had already bought a ticket to go over there. So we just gambled and went over there because we were like, I think United have And I must announce this as well. Manchester United have agreed to reimburse 350 quid each to up to 700 United fans who were going to travel out for the game, which I think is great. They don't have to do that. I mean, a lot of people will say, well, they should do that, and maybe they should do that, but you should also applaud them for doing it, because not all clubs would do that. So we just made the decision that, we were speaking on Tuesday when the flights were booked and everything, and to be honest with you, our trip has cost more than 350 quid, because Josh goes as well, the camera guy. So the most we were going to get back was 700, and we didn't know that at the time, and we'd already spent a lot more than that. So we just thought, sod it, let's go over. We might get to be one of the 500 who gets in, and that's what's happened. It's like watching a training match, says Jordan M. Luke Ainsworth says most clubs would have just given the ticket refund back. Exactly, and I think the tickets were about 50 quid. Lovely little turn by Bruno Fernandes there. Not quite getting the pass right to Dan James, which is a shame. But we've won a free kick there. Rita on Dan James. See, this is the whole point. We made this decision as a channel a couple of years ago that if we were going to start doing fan cams, then we were going to start doing fan cams, and that means home and away, and that means on tour, and that means Sweden on friendlies. That means you go to every single game, and I know not a lot of people didn't go, and a lot of people saying, well, you shouldn't go, but we're a fan channel. Like, there's a story there, even if you don't get in, isn't there? So that's what this channel is, and it's because of you lot that we've been able to do that. So, as I say, it's your channel. I've always said that from day one. People don't believe that, but I've said it from day one, and we'll keep saying it, because it's your views and support and that allows us to do those things. So thank you. And if you are new, please do subscribe to the channel. We have got the greatest community in I think we've got the best football community on YouTube. Forget whether it's United. Them AFTV lot can sit down as well. I think we have got the best, and I think you are the best. And we're live every night at 8 o'clock. We've got previews, transfer news, call-ins, a lot. So subscribe, bottom right-hand corner, and get involved. Apparently, Lingard is injured, says Aiden. It is in Austria as well. What did I say? Now, I was talking about, like, Sweden, if you play a pre-season friendly in Sweden. Like, was it last year we went Australia, Hong Kong, China, and then I think we had a friendly in Norway on the way back. So, yeah, you go to all of them. When's Pogba back, says Zach Bradshaw. He hasn't trained yet. I think a lot of people thought, well, I think Ollie told us he was going to start training this week. He didn't. So, I think he's going to train next week now. It is amazing how no fans makes football harder to watch, isn't it? And good little bit of play by Harry Maguire there. They were nearly in. Mark, are you worried about the risk of Bruno being overplayed and getting injured? He's the wheels on the Man United car, in my opinion, says Mannix SJ. As I said, Mannix, I normally would be, but I think because United, I don't think we're going to be playing that many games. I think we're on the cusp of suspending it, aren't we? So I don't think it will matter so much. I think if we didn't have this pandemic and we were expecting to be playing tonight, Sunday, next Thursday, that I probably would be a bit worried. McTominay shoots from distance there. I'm just putting a tweet out and I'm going to read it you back. Amazing how no fans in a ground makes football so much worse to watch. People in power take note. Football without fans is nothing. And it's true. I know this was a bit of an experiment for me tonight as well. I mean, we're 13 minutes in and not having fans in a ground, it just doesn't feel good, does it? And this is what, if I said to you in the live comments now, you've got a choice. We can suspend football for 2 months and see where we are, or we can play every game, and every game does get played and we do finish the season, but every game's played behind closed doors. What would you do? Would you suspend it, or would you just continue playing behind closed doors? Because I think I'd suspend it. I just think I think football without fans is just, they're part of the atmosphere. Well, they are the atmosphere, but they're part of the entertainment. Harvey Elliott says Adityo Bancoli. Don't really have any. And it's dead without the fans, says Sam Ellie. And why do you always seem like you need the toilet, says Matty. I think that's you, Matty. I think you've got a fetish with people needing to go to the toilet. I don't need to go to the toilet. And Patrick Levy says, I never comment, but been here since 2014. Feel sorry for Haaland. He put a picture of him saying Paris is not PSG, hence the celebration. Oh, right, okay. So there's a bit of a background there. And Elibus says, Mark, your thoughts on a 4-2-2-2 with Pogba and Bruno behind Tony and Rashi next year? Cheers from the States. My only problem with that, Ellie, is that 4-2-2-2-2, you may as well get 4-2-2-2, yeah. You may as well get Pochettino in, because that's his system. It's not really Ollie's. And I don't like a team with no width. Luke Shaw whips across in there. It's too heavy for Mata. Mark, would you change De Gea for Schmeichel? And do you think Schmeichel would join United, going in Dad's footsteps, says Sean Simonson. No, I think Kasper Schmeichel's a good goalkeeper, but I wouldn't be looking at him over De Gea. I mean, I tell you one, I would have the conversation about Al Black. I mean, he's a pretty good goalkeeper, isn't he? But I don't think I wouldn't be looking at Kasper Schmeichel over David De Gea. Not for me. Paul Robinson says that United are looking a bit rubbish in possession. I just wonder how much of this is playing on the the players' minds, though. Not the virus. I mean, I'm talking about the lack of atmosphere. I'd like the closed doors. It's a leveller, says Ashley GR. And Ben Tuckley has missed the start of the game. How's it going? Read the live comments. They'll tell you, Ben. Cross coming in from LASK there. And they've got a bit of a chance for a break with Agallo. Free kick. Very stop-start game. Kian Martin says, what's your thoughts on Liverpool crashing out of the Champions League? I just think it was funny. Obviously, as a United fan, I'm not gonna lie. I think it's funny how people just don't learn. We live in a world where it's instant gratification. Everybody wants now to be better than the past, and I saw it with City a couple of seasons ago, and we saw it with Liverpool this year around Christmas time, where people are wheeling out United 99 and saying this Liverpool team's better than United 99. And I'm like, well, you're wrong anyway, but we're at Christmas. Like, most trophies are won in March. And people need to put respect on the 99 United side, because we see it every year. Oh, this Man City team's better than the 99 team. Oh, this Liverpool team's better than the 99 team. And then you hit March, they're out of the Champions League, and they're not better than the United 99 team. So... And that United 99 team, oh, good cross by Agallo. Mata didn't quite connect with it. Should have been 1-0, really. Good cross by Agallo. Would have been nice to see him get an assist. But that United 99 team, Luke Shaw, cross, punched away. Mata, wide. Should have scored twice there. Thoughts on Chong signing the new deal yet? Not Gomez, says Salah Ahmed. Well, I'm happy that Chong signed, but I want Gomez to sign as well. But that 99 team played its best football in the last month of the year, of that season. Keane in Juventus, the Arsenal game in the FA Cup. Liverpool have bottled it in March, really. They can't bottle the league because they've played so well to get ahead in the league. But, look at them against Watford, look at them in the FA Cup, look at them in the Champions League. When the going got tough, Liverpool have blown it. And they've not really had any injuries. I always think Liverpool keep a lot of injuries free. but their injuries have been to people like Henderson. They've not lost Van Dijk, they've not lost Salah, they've not lost Firmino, they've not lost Mane. So they've not really got any excuses. I suppose last night their big excuse would be Alisson, because Adrian is the one who causes the mistake. There was a meme showing different club players sad about playing in empty stadiums, then showed Man City players saying, oh, first time then. Hader Hammond. Who's going to win the Champions League this year? United are in the box at the moment, so let me just see. Fred, McTominay. Who's going to win the Champions League this year? A good shot there from Agallo. Keeper saves it. So United are knocking on the door a little bit here. Who do I think is going to win the Champions League this year? If we see a Champions League this year, I would say... I'm trying to think. Bayern Munich have got a good shout. I mean, I hope PSG don't win it. I can't stand them. I think that... I do think that Man City will really fancy their chances now Liverpool are gone. But we may not see it. Euros have not been cancelled yet, Abraman. People are just... if you speculate in the live comments, you're not helping the human race, are you? You're just a troll. And we need to work together in this unprecedented time. So saying things are this and things are that, just for attention, these things haven't happened. They're meeting next week on Tuesday to discuss whether the Euros will get cancelled, whether the Champions League and Europa League will get cancelled. The Premier League has not been cancelled yet. Anyway, LASK have got a free kick here. Something from the training ground. Didn't work. 3 passes worked quite well. The other one didn't. Hi, Mark. When do you think the first goal will be scored? Says Sifu. I think United... Oh, God, it's such a hard thing to say. I think United are getting closer to scoring. I think they'll score... How long have we had? 20 minutes? I think United will score before half an hour. So I think United are going to score in the next 10 minutes. The momentum's with us at the moment. Went down memory lane yesterday, watched the 99-2000 Arsenal versus United game. It's so crazy how far our standards have dropped. Our quality was so good, says the Booknut fan. And Red Baron says, is Bruno Fernandes the only person with character in our squad? I feel like he's becoming a talisman like Cantona or Rooney, says Red Baron. Well, this is, 2 very good points there. And I can answer them both in the same thing. Without Bruno, who's on the ball now, how good is this United side? Is it still going to have problems, right? And I think the jury's out on that. And then the other question is, comparing this United side to great United sides of the past, or even good United sides of the past, have our standards dropped? And the honest answer is yes. The jury surely still has to be out on Solskjaer anyway, because he's had a bad season and now a good season. So you want to find out, from the bad to the good, where's the line? What's the average going to be? And yeah, look, this United side, if you do watch Premier League years, or you watch a bit of MUTV and you watch United of old, there's a massive amount of difference, yeah. And I also think that you take Bruno out of this team, what are we? Which is why getting Pogba back is very important, because then you've got somebody to share the load. Thank you for bringing this to us at the moment. This is a only positive match. Is awful to watch without fans, says Irfan Shah. Yeah, thanks everyone who is watching. I was meant to check there. Please do subscribe if you're new. We're trying to get up to 679,000 tonight. And if you have already subscribed, there's a share button underneath. It makes a difference if you click the share button. You can share it on Twitter and Facebook. That would be helpful. This should be 1-0. Dan James. What a save by the keeper. Mata feeds it into Dan James. He's in the box. He hits it really, really well. But the keeper makes a good save. I don't think Dan James could hit that any better. He's hit it in the bottom corner as it comes to him. Probably a little bit close to the keeper. But to be fair, the keeper's a good couple of yards off his line. I was talking about that on That's Football the other day. As a goalkeeper there, his positioning's really good. If you're on your line, you can only dive and cover so much of your goal. If you step forward, you make your goal quicker, and he's got his angles absolutely spot on there. And United winning a header there on the 6-yard box, and it just goes wide. Unpopular opinion, closed doors Euros could be fire, says Ashley GR. I don't know, it's hard, isn't it? And is it a 4-3-3, as most apps are showing us playing that, says Tom31. No, I don't think it's a 4-3-3, I think it's a 4-2-3-1. I think Fred and McTominay are both playing as holding midfielders, really. But they're going to push forward because the quality of the team we're playing is not that good. And Michael Sauter says, Bruno might not be 100% responsible for the current turnaround, but for me, he has to be most of it. Even that's just his influence on the others. I think players have responded to Bruno. But I don't think it's like, oh, Bruno's here, I'm going to play well. What I think it is that if you think about Fred and McTominay and Dan James and Martial when he plays, and Greenwood when he plays, or Matt, or whoever's playing around the number 10, if you're McTominay and Fred and you're knocking it into Lingard, you're not getting it back. The play breaks down. If you're McTominay and Fred playing it into Bruno, you're getting it back, or an attack occurs. It makes you look better. Same for the fullbacks like Luke Shaw. So nice little ball here by Mata into the wing of Dan James. I told you United will score before half an hour. Better play by James there into Fred. United are dominating this game at the moment with regards to possession. Oh, can I have a hot drink, please? What do you want? Tea with almond milk, thanks. Is that alright? Let's just see what happens with this attack. Dan James has got it out on the left-hand side. Nicely into Mata. Nicely into Fred. See, Mata suits games like this as well, where you're up against an opposition that's just not technically that good. Pity it isn't a game of bigger importance. Love to hear what Ollie barks, because his hand gestures look underwhelming during usual games with fans, says Julian Lee. And thank you for that, everybody. We've got over 15,000 people watching, so I'm hoping we're close to 679,000 subscribers. I will just check now. What's the scores on the doors? We've hit 679. Thank you very much. So please subscribe if you're new, bottom right hand corner. I will change that number now. We're on the road. This is the road to 680. Boom! Shakalak. 679,000. Thanks, everyone. Please subscribe if you're new, bottom right hand corner, and keep sharing the video if you have subscribed. I love United Academy players and homemade manager, says Jenks1102. And Farid, what a prat. I predicted we would score in the first half an hour. Yeah. Still time. You know what's going to happen. We're going to score in the 31st minute. LUHG says Williams is so bad. I think that I said at the time with Brandon Williams, that's good play. I said at the time with Brandon Williams, don't get overhyped with him. He's a young player, and because he's a young player, he's going to have peaks and troughs. And I think that Mahrez certainly showed him schooled him a bit in many ways. But he's a young player, still a teenager. He's gonna, there were some United fans who were saying, oh, let's pick him every game. Bruno's away here. Oh, nearly getting Dan James away. Picks it up again into Agallo. Oh, what a goal! I told you! What a goal by Agallo. Lovely goal by Agallo, that is. And I tell you what, cold, it's Agallo. And I told you we'd score before half an hour. What a hit. Absolutely fantastic. And he is probably, at this moment in time, getting himself a new contract at Manchester United, because that goal out of nothing is really, it comes from, I say nothing. It's Bruno again. Bruno's determination, driving forward, getting through tackles, lovely little ball into Agallo, takes it down, 3 touches and bang, off his left foot as well. Absolutely cracking goal by Agallo. Bruno with the driving run, another assist. I mean, that probably technically won't be an assist for Bruno, will it? Because of the touches that Agallo takes. They have these stupid assist rules, but he sort of bobbles it off both feet. That's a cracking goal. Doesn't do it justice the first time. That is an absolute cracking goal by Ighalo. Ollie loves it. He's there, sat there going, ooh, but what a hit. What an absolute belter by Ighalo. Deserved to be in front of a crowd, that. That's the only bad thing. Deserved to be in front of a crowd, not a cloud. 1-0 to United. Change the score. There we go. Lovely hit. Absolutely lovely. That's what we came here for. It was fantastic. You sort of, Bruno got the ball into him. He sort of went 1 foot, 2 foot, 1 foot, bang. It's like this. He could get a job in the circus with that sort of juggling. Lovely stuff. He was a cult hero before he even played, really, wasn't it? I find it strange that Ollie claims Gomez is part of our plans but never gets picked. I want Gomez to stay, but if you were him, will you stay? Says Adams and Aquila. I would hope that the fact that Chong has signed means that Gomez will sign, but he's not getting any game time either, is he? Hi Mark, could Ighalo be playing his last match for United given that he's only here on loan? Obviously if the league gets suspended, I love the lad, passion and underrated quality. That's wild, says George Beharas. Well, has Ighalo done enough already to earn him a job next season? Some would argue yes. Bad news, no fans. Good news, FIFA and Pro Evo 21 should be easier to animate, says Dave Tapgun. Yeah, they can bring the release of that forward, I think. But a lovely goal by Ighalo. You don't want to be late from work if you've missed that. But LASK have got I mean, look. That goal comes from Bruno. That driving run from Bruno. It's not pretty, but that shows you that he's not always a pretty player. It's just determination. It's bouncing up off him. He's getting through tackles. But then when he gets into that danger zone, it's a lovely little flick into Ighalo. And it's that run from Bruno that allows us to see that great goal from Ighalo. Absolutely fantastic by those two lads. And again, look, if we didn't have... A lot of people talk about, oh, if we didn't have Bruno. I think if we didn't have Bruno, we'd be in trouble. But if we didn't have Ighalo as well... is Ricky one of the 500 fans attending the games? Salah Ahmed. No, Ricky's not there. He said, I'm not going, Fleck. Listen up, I'm not going because Matic ain't playing. Listen here, Matic is superb, and if he's not playing, I'm not going. I don't even care if Matt is playing. Yeah, but I'd put good money on the fact that United will keep a clean sheet here. That goal was fantastic, says Dave Baines. It was. And Ighalo's better than Lukaku already, says Subhan Baig. Well, there's not been much from LASK, to be honest. They've not really offered much. They don't look a very good team. And I said this before. I mean, they knocked AZ Alkmaar out, but when we played Alkmaar, I thought they were a decent team. But this LASK, they don't look good. Wolves, we were talking about that. Wolves are playing Olympiacos tonight. Besides Flex, who else from the United stand is there? Says Salah Ahmed. No, we're the only ones who went. Like Saeed and everyone else didn't bother going. Probably because they wouldn't have gone in. And we've got Samuel Barika says, if Ollie's talks about Gomez in his plans, then it's only right to think that they're sorting out his contract at the moment. Well, I just hope that with Gomez that they are trying to get a contract and they're not picking him because he hasn't signed a contract. And then when he does sign a contract, he will play. Ighalo's gone down here at the moment. I think he's just caught one in the eye by the looks of it. Yeah, caught one in the face. I've been saying this. A striker who's good with both feet will get you a goal out of nothing, says Fitness Unscripted Sharath Karmath. And Ighalo, mysterious girl, move your body close to mine. Liam Gallagher, says Alex Slipsker. And do you think Ighalo should be given a start often, and should Martial be put on the left wing, says Victor Thomas? No, I think Anthony Martial this season has done such a great job in evolving himself into being a striker. So look, Ighalo's goal is great, and Ighalo's played well here. But would I rather Martial or Ighalo play up front? For me, it's Martial. Ighalo is exactly what we need. He's the player who comes off the bench for 20 minutes. He's the player who plays in these games when you want to rest Martial. This is the player that we've been looking for, and I think there's a serious question to be asked here about Ighalo as to whether there is a long-term future at Manchester United for him, because he would love to be at Manchester United and be on the bench, and we need a player like that on the bench. Like I said last season, if Lukaku was happy to stay and be on the bench, what a bench option he is, but Lukaku believes he's better than that. I think Ighalo would be happy to come to United and be that bench player that we need. So that's what I see his role. Panic signing, Ighalo proving people wrong, says you unlucky. No, you're wrong. You proved yourself wrong there, because what you've basically gone and done is be a flip-flop. Because Sergey, I would never have that idiot on this channel. He's a vile human being who said some vile things about me wishing I was dead, so he would never be on this channel. And Mark, is the Spurs game on as of now, says Fitness Unscripted Karath. Yes, he is. Yes, it is. But just going back to that previous point about Ighalo and how it's panic buy, proving people wrong. Nobody ever had a go about Ighalo about that deal. People were like, it's a great deal for him. I hope he does well. The issue with that, and Gary Neville himself said it, is why, when you knew Lukaku was leaving 6 months ago, do you leave yourself 6 hours to sign a striker on the last day of the transfer window? The way we did that deal was a panic buy. We're lucky it's worked out well, and it was never Ighalo's fault. But the way Manchester United Football Club did that deal was embarrassing, because we were lucky. Ighalo wasn't. United can sit there and go, Ighalo, what a great signing it was. We're brilliant, but we all know the truth. We were trying to sign Josh King. We were trying to sign Rondon. We were trying to sign anybody, and we stumbled upon Ighalo, and I'm so glad that we did. But let's not pretend that it was great foresight or planning by United. It was a panic buy by United. And Gary Neville was right, and anybody who said it was a panic buy is right. But it was never reflective on Ighalo himself. Ighalo wanted to come to the club, but he was a panic buy. And he could be on for another one here. I thought he was going to get a shot off. Lovely little play out to Bruno. And United looking for a second here. How many goal assists does Bruno have so far, says Andy Zalewski. It depends what's classed as an assist, because I don't think that would technically be an assist. Do you think the Premier League would consider finishing the season before the 38 games are played and have that as the final standings of the season, says Salah Ahmed? I think that would be very unfair if you said to teams like Norwich, you're relegated after 31 games. And also, let me just have a look at this, Salah, because I think you raise a good point here. So let's pretend that we stop the Premier League now. So Liverpool win the league after 29 games, but Bournemouth get relegated on goal difference with Watford. You're going to get court cases. That's not going to happen. And what about Sheffield United, who finished 7th but have got a game in hand? They could win their game in hand. We could drop to 6th and not be in the Champions League. Or does Sheffield United not get it because they played a game less? You can't do this. They can't. You've got to postpone and see how the land lies in a few weeks' time. That's what I think. Mark, I thought they were playing at the Etihad for a sec, says Matthew Bradshaw. Cross coming in from LASK here. It's a bad one. So it's Bruno and Ighalo with the goal again. Well, Ighalo's goal, Bruno's driving run. Alexander says that UEFA will cancel the Euros on Tuesday. I think they will as well. I think they have to, because I think it's not just about, the Euros will take place in June, but there's many reasons to cancel the Euros. And the main reasons are, one, yellow card for a LASK player here. That's not a reason to cancel the Euros. One is that if we're going to postpone and suspend, which a lot of people are doing, we all think about the Premier League, but the Italian league has already been suspended for a month. Those leagues to be completed are going to go into May and June, so you can't play the Euros. So that's the most obvious reason. Another reason is there are still Euro qualifiers to be played in March. Well, they're not going to happen. I mean, look, I'm 99.9% sure that the Euros get cancelled. And I don't think it's because they think that the pandemic will still be going on in June. I just think that, you know, strategically, you can already see that the leagues are not going to be completed. And LASK into the box here. I thought Williams was going to dive in. It's a good job that he didn't. And a good tackle there by Luke Shaw. Goes for a throw in. Mark, I thought they were playing at the Etihad. I've read that one, Matthew. Thank you very much. What's your thoughts on Liverpool getting out of the Champions League? I've already talked about it. I'm very, very happy. Italian teams will be rusty in the Champions League, says Ben Simpson. And Ewan Hacking says that BT said that Bruno got the assist. Again, another massive involvement from Bruno. In fact, I'm just going to type that while I stretch my back. LASK have come into it a little bit more in the last minutes. But they've changed this team, haven't they? Manchester United, Agallo and Bruno. They've just they've changed the whole team, and I think that Agallo, his link-up play has been fantastic. They nearly scored there, LASK. To be fair, good block by Bailly. Bruno. Please do subscribe to the channel if you're new. Bottom right hand corner, we are on that road to 680,000 subscribers now. If you look in the top right hand corner, we're getting very close to it. I'm surprised Greenwood didn't start tonight, but I suppose he wanted to give Mata a run out, and to be fair to Mata, he has been playing quite well recently, but he could have played Greenwood from the right, I agree. And do you know Greenwood has... Yeah, I've done the fastest Greenwood thing. You're off to footy. Train well. Have you seen the video of Bruno singing his chant mark, says Roy Widner? No, I haven't. What a ball that is out to... no, it's gone for a goal kick. One of them raking balls to try and get Dan James in. Nice to see United playing in the black kit as well. We haven't seen much of that this season, have we? I can't remember. How many? Can anyone tell me how many times we've worn the black kit this season? Because it's a lovely kit, but we hardly seen it. I think it's a bit of a con, isn't it, really? There's not many times United don't play in red. Because I don't... What's our other kit? Is it the gold kit? Is the gold kit the away kit and this is the third kit? Because it's a lovely kit, this. But here's United on another chance. Dan James, he's going to go himself. It's football intelligence there for me, Dan James. There was a pass to Fred. It's a good run. He's got a run of Fred. He runs past Fred. You can see the run of Fred. He doesn't play Fred in. DJFI. That's my note for match reaction. Football intelligence again. But you can't... Whether we play the second leg next week, you can't see United. I mean, this was always a very good draw for United, but you can't see us having any problems. Vin Barr, doesn't City have games in hand over Liverpool as well? I actually fell asleep and missed the goal. It was a bloody good goal, Vin Barr. It was a good goal to see live. Vin Barr. ER says Dublin meetup. I'm just waiting for confirmation from the bar where the meetup has been booked, because we paid a deposit, and I've basically said to them, what's your advice? Because it's a meetup of 500 people and it's on April the 2nd, which is going to be... we've got to cancel it, haven't we? It's not officially been cancelled yet, but it's going to have to be cancelled. There's just no way on April the 2nd, which is 3 weeks away, is it? 3 weeks, 21 days? Yeah. 28 days, 18. Yeah. 3 weeks tonight is the Dublin meetup. It's not happening, is it? You can hear Flex singing Bruno, Bruno, Bruno. Someone should record it and then tweet it and at me in it, or DM it me, and I'll tweet it off the main account. That's a task for you. Somebody rewind your video, rewind it, get the bit of Flex singing it, tweet it out, and then DM either at United Stand TV or at Mark Goldbridge if you can, and I'll retweet it off both accounts. There's a challenge for you. You'll get a load of followers for it. I'm helping you out here. If someone goes back to that BT clip where you can hear Flex singing, record it on your phone, tweet it out, and then DM me on at United Stand TV or at Mark Goldbridge, and we'll retweet it off both. And I guarantee you'll get a load of followers. A lot of love for Igalo in the live comments. Flex is probably the only United fan there, you see, because the press, most of the press don't support Manchester United. You know, like Simon Peach, he's not a United fan, he's a Southampton fan. So a lot of the United correspondents won't be United fans. Dan James, Football Intelligence. I'm starting to like Maguire, but I worry about his agility against nimble players in European competitions. He's the perfect Premier League player, though. We've got 1 minute added on here, by the way. And sign Igalo up. What are we thinking? I mean, it's a bit glamorous to say that, but he does offer a lot of things that we need. And I think the thing with me Igalo was, and it obviously it was valid, you know, it was a signing that came out of desperation and it wasn't his fault, but he has got, the more match fit he's got, the more you see he has got the he's got everything that's required as a backup striker. I'm going to wind up a load of Arsenal fans with my latest tweet as well. My latest tweet is going to absolutely wind up Arsenal fans. So you might get a few of them in here who aren't even in the Europa League. But I think we're at half time. Is it half time? Igalo's yeah, it is half time. I basically just tweeted that Igalo's better than Lacazette, which is actually true. I genuinely think he is better than Lacazette. But it's 1-0 to Manchester United at half-time. Fitness and Scripture Sharath is he's starting to like Maguire, but worries about his agility against those nimble players. And yeah, I don't think you're wrong to think that at all. And I, Mark, just want to say big thanks to Flex for speaking to me after my fan cams on Derby Day, making an amazing day even better. Not all heroes wear capes, says Shaky Jakey 5. Thanks for that lovely message. And Kush says, Mark, can you call Flex and ask him to sing Titanium? It'd be jokes. Yeah, but you can't sing. Aaron Wan-Bissaka's not playing. I can send him messages. I definitely can send him messages, but I can't get him to sing songs that are going to probably get him kicked out. I'll tell you what I will tell him to sing. Sing Ollie's at the Wheel. Sing Ollie's at the Wheel. Well, I don't know whether he'll do it. Let me just start off by saying this then. In relation to Igalo, what do you think of Williams so far in the right-back role, says Cavalier Crane Masters? Well, let's talk about the half, because then it will lead us lovely on to Igalo. Please do subscribe to the channel if you're new, bottom right-hand corner. So, I think Brandon Williams has done well at right-back. I think more strings to his bow. The fact that he can do that role, it's a positive for me, because you know, it gives that diversity, like I said, which is not the word I'm looking for. He can play numerous roles. A great half, stunning goal from Odeon. Cinemas, hope you're doing well, man, says Trading Cards and More. And Igalo is certainly a little more than a backup, says Bad Decisions Racing. No, he's not. Like, this is it. You've got to be really careful. I think you've got to be really careful about what your expectations are and balance it against where you want United to be. Igalo is not... We always react like this as United fans. And this is me talking. This is not the United standard. This is creating a debate point, right? So this is what I think. Somebody scores a goal like that and suddenly let's play them every game and drop Martial. It's so flip-flop. It's such a flip-flop mentality. What has Anthony Martial done wrong this season? Like, think about the game in the last round where we were losing 1-0 and he scores the goal from the halfway line because they make a mistake. Think about the goal where he gets it and he does the little dink. Martial's had a great season. So why are we now dropping Martial for Igalo? Because we're idiots. Because we're flip-flops. Because we don't like Pogba, we do like Pogba. Because we don't like Ollie, we do like Ollie. So we did like Martial and now we want Igalo to start. It's just... We're better than that. We're much better than that as United fans. What I'm saying about Igalo is he's better than Lacazette. He is better than Lacazette. He's a brilliant, brilliant player. But here is a player who is a treasure because he's happy to be at Manchester United and he would happily be our backup striker, which is what we need. So for me, I'm asking the question, do you send Igalo back to China or do you say, we want you to stay here and be our backup striker as part of our new vision? And I think that's what you do. You then get people saying, he's more than a backup striker. Well, he's not, because that's not up for grabs. We've got Martial, we've got Rashford, we're hopefully going to get Sancho. That will be our front three. But you need rotation, you need people to come in when people aren't doing well, you need people to keep people on their toes, and you need people when they're injured. And Igalo would do that job and absolutely love it. It'd be like Romero again. You know, Romero should be a first-team goalkeeper, but he's the backup to David De Gea. And I think with Igalo, you've got exactly the same. Probably the best backup striker in the league if he comes here, but that's what we're looking for, and that's the job that I think Igalo would more than happily do. The question is, can United afford to do it when he's on 300 grand a week in China? I think he'll take a pay cut, but how much of a pay cut would he take? And is he worth 150 grand a week or not? I don't know. At the age he is, I think he's 31 in August, I don't know. But the goal itself, I just want to say, there's another aspect to this goal. Bruno again. It's an assist for Bruno. The way he drives forward, I think Bruno's game today has not been a clean game. It's not, everything he's tried hasn't been that good. But what I've liked about Bruno today is that leadership. It's that tenacity. I've seen him chasing back. And with the goal itself, he gets it. He drives forward. He gets a little bit of a lucky ricochet, but he keeps going. And finally he gets in control of the ball. Lovely little assist. Knocking it into Igalo, who does some juggling stuff, and then bang, what a finish. It's a fantastic goal. Absolutely. That's one of the best goals you'll see in Europe this season. Not this season, this week. It's a fantastic goal. Should China pay for screwing up the world with viruses, says Jenks1102. Not football related, and we are trying to talk about the football. Which striker in the current market fits the Martial or Igalo mould, says Sartik Doob? I don't know. Brian8863, nobody's saying drop Martial, we're just saying Igalo is more than we thought he'd be. He should stay at United, offers a different look, which is exactly what I was saying. No, some people are saying he should be starting, mate. Brian, you saw people saying that in the first half. Some people were saying he deserves to start games, and I'm saying, why does he deserve to start games? Oh, we're going to put Martial back on the left when Martial's been brilliant up front this season. Martial's been one of the best strikers in the Premier League this season, so why are we dropping Martial for Igalo? Why can't we just say... It's the same thing happened with Luke Shaw. It frustrates me because we're better than this as a fan base. The same thing happened with Luke Shaw. Brandon Williams came in. Oh, just get rid of Luke Shaw. We've got Brandon now. And I was like, hold on a minute. Brandon's 19. He's going to have games where he's not that consistent. And also, you need a backup. And now Luke Shaw's brilliant again. And people are like, oh, just drop Brandon. And it's like, we need a squad. This is a squad game. I want the two best strikers in the league. And if one of them's got to sit on the bench, so what? I want 6 brilliant midfielders and 3 of them don't make it into the team. I want 2 brilliant fullbacks in both positions. I want 4 brilliant centre-backs. I want 2 good goalies like we've got. I want depth. I don't want to be like, oh, well, Pogba's my midfielder, Fred, you can piss off. Igalo's my striker, Martial do one. And some people, but you laugh, and I know you're laughing, but you know people do this because we see them every week. They can't deal with squad games. They can't deal with sharing the load. It's got to be all or nothing. Oh, Igalo's the man now. Martial, you can do one back to France. Oh, Luke Shaw's the man. Brandon, get back in the youth setup. Oh, Bay's here now. Lindelof, get back to Benfica. Like, people don't think, oh, actually, you know, we've got a bit of squad depth. We're playing Thursday, Sunday. Oh, we might want to rotate players. It's great to have competition. That's where I'm coming from. And maybe I'm moaning a little bit about it because it does frustrate me how we all have to just be, they're the best now, you're rubbish, they're the best. And I say all, that's very unfair. But you know some people do that because we see them a lot. No one said drop Martial, simply said Ighalo is more than a backup. You just made it out to be an Anthony Martial. No bad decisions racing. I didn't do that at all. The live comments has moved on massively now. But there was people saying that Ighalo deserves to start games now. And I'm saying, no, he doesn't. I'm not. So, and ultimately, if you are saying that, oh, this has just turned into something that it wasn't, what I was talking about is people who do just get rid of players and say, oh, he's got to start now. And somebody actually said it in the first half. They said Ighalo should start up front and Martial should go to the left, which is effectively dropping Martial because Martial doesn't want to play on the left and Martial doesn't deserve to go to the left. It's dropping him. You're basically dropping him if you play him on the left because that's not his position anymore. So I am right. Let's argue Ighalo is better than Jota, says Abhishek Mukherjee. Well, I think one thing we can all agree on is that Ighalo is better than Lacazette. We're meant to be winding Arsenal fans up, not ourselves. Footballers need football intelligence and fans to need some basic IQ, says Ronan. Going back to Dan James again, I really like Dan James. I think when he's in full sprint, he's a really exciting player. But a couple of times, again, that football intelligence just isn't there yet. He's got to work on that over the next year or two. He actually cuts in from the left-hand side. It's a really good run. Fred basically runs past him and he could even say, Dan, I'm going to be there, pass me now. He just totally ignores him and runs into trouble. And actually, it should have just been slipping him in. And that happened a couple of times. But I do think there is a good player in Dan James. Mark, when you're at a certain age, you will moan a little. That's okay. Here is a super chat for you to moan about. Cheers, mate, says Car Sing Sia. I'm not, how am I moaning? I'm defending the squad of Manchester United, and I'm saying that we need numerous people in numerous positions. And I also know for a fact that Ighalo would bloody love to stay at this football club and would more than happily wait his turn on the bench, be a backup striker and never moan about it because it's his dream. Which is why, for me, I think we've got a big decision to be made there because there's a player there that will do the job and do it without moaning. Now, if you bring Timo Werner in, and if you're asking me whether I'd rather have Ighalo or Werner, I'm going to say Werner, of course. But if you bring Werner in and you bring Sancho in, somebody out of Werner, Sancho, Martial, Rashford is getting dropped, and that isn't a problem you're going to have with Ighalo, who will be happy to be that rotation player, that player when somebody's injured. In a way, this is a good argument to have. When was the last time we argued about squad depth, says Andrew Rossi. Yeah, 100%. I'm not. I love United fans. I'm not here to tell you that, you know, to get into a serious argument. I'm just trying to say that I do think that there is a certain percentage of fans who just have a very tunnel vision. That's my favourite player now, not you. You can sod off. When actually the squad game, I've seen it. The thing is, I'm passionate about it because I've seen it. The John O'Sheas, the Wes Browns, the Darren Fletchers, these sort of players are so important. So important. And I almost wouldn't call them bench players because they'll still play about 40 games. Nicky Butt was another one. Players that will play 40 games, but when you pick your best team, probably don't start. But they play a lot because they come on or they play to give someone a rest or someone gets injured or they're out of form. You need a few players like that. And that's what the Ighalo role would be for me. Not a bench player, but a sort of Nicky Butt, a John O'Shea, just somebody that you can rely on who's top quality when you need them. Shivan, Mark, we love Martial, but you have to accept that Ighalo is potentially better than him. Tony do have wonder goals, but he goes off. No, what a load of crap. You've done a super chat for that. What a load of nonsense. And agree with look, it's all about opinion. I've just got to say, you know, let me read it again so I'm not being totally dismissive. Shifam Kara says Martial is not as good as Ighalo, and Ighalo is potentially better than him. It's all about opinion. I think that opinion's a load of crap, but A lot of you probably agree with it. So there you go. That's how it works on here. And Anil Palyapan says, agree would you completely about Martial. He is our striker, but one doubt is if you believe Werner or even Kane comes in, Martial will have to move to the left because Werner or Kane or someone of that ilk is a pure number 9. Well, no, Werner's not a pure number 9. I think I agree if you brought a Jimenez or a Kane in, they are a pure number 9 and they would play as a number 9, and that would be a problem for Martial, which is why I don't really want us to bring in a pure number 9. I want us to bring in a Werner who can play in numerous of the front 3 positions, and I think that suits the way Ollie wants to play anyway. But I think Agallo's a pure number 9, and I think as that backup number 9, that would work really well. We need one more midfielder. Not that we are bad right now, to have some depth in the midfield next season. Pogba should be sold and buy one striker. We are good next season, says Atal Pandey. And Abhishek Mukherjee says, who would you offload in the next summer? I think we spoke about it before the game, Abhishek. For me, if there's 5 players I'm getting rid of, it's Rojo, Sanchez, Jones, Pereira and Lingard. Not in that order, but I would be offloading those 5 players. And you would probably, Rojo, 80, 160, another 80, 240, Pereira, 240, 300. You're probably saving yourself $750,000 a week, getting rid of those 5 players wages-wise, considering Sanchez is on 400 grand a week. Those 5 players out of the club would probably save you, would save you around £750,000 a week. And from those 5 players, you might get as much as 80 million. So I don't want any of them here anymore. £80 million and 750 grand a week. I would do that. Yeah, I would do that. Quick maths, Mark. Yeah, Anan Ran. We've done that one. Ishan Pundi says that McSauce is so good, still unable to break into our first team. That speaks volumes on the quality in our squad right now. Very endearing. And yeah, look, moving it away from Agallo and Martial for a minute, I think that with Hader Hammond, I'm going to find your tweet now. I think that with McTominay, you've got exactly that issue, haven't you? Look, I prefer McTominay long-term to Matic, but in the short term, Matic should play. Hader Hammond says, hi, I tweeted you the flex chant right, let's have a look if we can find this. I've also had a message from Flex, so let's have a look at that as well. But at it's Big H. Big H. I found you. I'm going to give you a follow as well. Anyway, second half's about to kick off. Let's have a look here.
National day against North Macedonia in a qualifier.
It is Fex doing that. Okay, second half's about to kick off. We're off second half. Andrew Rossi, this is what happens when you bring in people that elicit competition for playing time. Everyone gets better, and you've been saying that. Definitely, competition for places generates a better performance from the team. No disrespect to Matic, but we need a pure CDM in this window. Fred and McSauce are not pure CDM. We see the improvement as soon as Matic is back to form, says Newell and Paul. I think there's one CDM that we should be looking at, and I think we all know who it is, Thomas Partey. And the reality is, yet again, it's the United Stand community. We've been talking about Thomas Partey at this club for bloody ages, and now the world is sitting up and noticing Thomas Partey in a more mainstream way. But he is the one. He would be brilliant in that position. I've retweeted it, Hader, and I followed you off my own personal. There you go. Got to follow. You'll get a load of followers now. That's how it works. Right, let's see what Flex is saying. So I predicted United would win 3-0, yeah. He says he's going to try and sing it again. I did it before the end of the half. Ollie's at the wheel. So listen out for Ollie's at the wheel. Ollie's at the wheel. Tell me how good does it feel? Please subscribe to the channel if you're new. Bottom right hand corner. We're on 679,400, so we're 600 away from 680. Mark, you really are beautiful, says Yilmaz. Get yourself down Specsavers tomorrow. You can still save yourself. And Aditya Nimagada says, hey Mark, have you seen the video of Bruno talking about fans singing the name and how he wants to give back on the field for it? He's just a great person. He's just a great person. Anyway, free kick for LASK here. Since the United goal, they've sort of got into the game a little bit more, but the quality of United will shine through in this game. I don't think we're going to have any problems getting through. I mean, to be honest with you, at what point, I think we will be playing Spurs on Sunday, so at what point do you start to think about Thursday, Sunday and taking people like Bruno off? And welcome to Domis123, latest member of the United Stand Members Club. Mark, just be honest, Agallo is levels above Martial. I would even put Greenwood ahead of Martial now. Just be honest, Mark, says Jaham Al Mohammed. And well done for wasting a fiver to talk a load of crap, but thanks for the contribution. But, you know, maybe some people will believe you. The world is full of fools. I'm joking. At least you've had your say. Flex is just messaging me saying I'm doing loads of songs. It's bouncing around the United defensive box, and now it's a stupid shot. If Flex does happen to sing Ollie's at the wheel, you lot know whom to thank, says Kush. Yeah. I am going to message him as well about the... Oh, remember Flex is probably going to be in the press conference as well. So if there's any good questions that you want to ask, I mean, we can't ask them all, but if I see any good questions, I will try and write them down and I'll message them to him, and he will try and answer them. He will try and ask them, sorry.
Yeah.
We've already got one about the 4-3-3, so we'll message that in a minute. Hi, Mark. You're a really nice guy, says Cody Woodcock. Thank you. I tell you what, it'll be a really good match reaction from Flex, because he's going to be the only United fan who actually watched this game, and he will be doing it from in the ground as well. And I'm sure Ollie's going to get asked loads of questions about this old pandemic again as well. Ask about Agallo. I think, Sonia, that is probably going to be very good question. That probably will. We'll start doing that. Starting long term. But we're definitely playing the two holding midfielders again. You can see Fred and Matic. Fred and... Well, Fred's more playing the holding role. I think McTominay... Yeah, we are playing a 4-2-3-1. I don't really want to ask a question about formation. In honest, how much transfer fund does he have in the summer, says Ray Woolley? He would never answer that question, would he? United on the attack here with Luke Shaw. Over the bar from Mata. I mean, Mata could have had a hat-trick tonight. He's got on the end of these a few times now. And I do feel sorry for Shaw and Wan-Bissaka, because I think they could have a lot more assists than they get. This is a good cross from Luke Shaw. It's into the feet of Mata. And again, Mata's had about 3 of those in this game that you'd expect him to score, really. And I'm loving Agallo, but let's not lose sight of who he's been scoring against and who Martial has been scoring against, and we can play both as a two, says Ernest Tabari. I never thought of that, Ernest, actually. You look at the goals that Agallo scored, Derby, Club Bruges and LASK LINZ. Yeah, the quality of those teams hasn't been that good, has it? But this is what people are saying. They want to see him starting games in the bigger games. So, you know, you could flip it the other way and say, well, he hasn't been given the opportunities in the bigger games. Got a date tomorrow. Any aftershave recommendations, says the Kraken. Sauvage is a good. I like that one. Sauvage. I wear that. Taylor Sansom says, you guys are embarrassing for playing such a strong team. Well, mate, we're not actually playing that strong a team. We've got a big squad. I'd love to know who you support, but Lindelof's been rested. De Gea's been rested. Lindelof rested. De Gea rested. Wan-Bissaka rested. Matic rested. Martial injured. So that's half the team's been rested for tonight. You could argue a couple of others have been rested, but definitely 5. Half of the team has been rested. So, you know, you're not going to go on a Europa League away in the second knockout stage and put your reserves out. You've got to respect it a little bit. Rashford's better than Mane, says Alex Golding. I liked how Bruno shushed Pep during the Derby game, says Joe Max. Yeah. He's just a character, Bruno, and I think that he believes in himself. And I think when you believe in yourself, that anything's possible if you've got talent as well. And Justin Miles says, embarrassing for taking a competition serious. What a joke. I guarantee, mate, it's an Arsenal fan. Because he hasn't told us what club he supports either, has he? How did Flex get in? Well, we just decided we were going to go to the game no matter what. And they have let 500 people in, so... Most United fans just quite rightly just thought, I'm not going to go because we're probably not going to get in and it's a long way to travel. But we were like, well, let's just go, because if we don't get in, we're a fan channel. We can still do a video outside. We can still say, here we are. So that's why we went. Peter B is just talking about the Irish government saying that they're not going to proceed with gatherings of above 100. With United at the moment, I would fully expect that the Spurs game will go ahead. Flex is hopefully going to be in the press conference after the game, and that will be discussing the Spurs game at the weekend. So if you've got any questions about the Spurs game, then maybe the Mourinho dynamic, I think that would be quite good. I think the Spurs game will go ahead. I don't know whether we'll get beyond that, whether we'll even see the return leg of this next Thursday, maybe. But I don't think we'll see the FA Cup quarter-final against Norwich. I think by then we'll be sort of moving towards suspension. But I think we will see the Spurs game on Sunday, which, to be honest with you, Spurs probably would like it not to happen because they'll have a better chance when they're not back. But Ighalo is doing what he was signed for. He's playing against smaller teams, giving time to rest first-team players and doing it brilliantly. I'm salivating at this team with Rashford and Pogba in it, says Franco Riva. What a fantastic comment that is. A very intelligent comment that yes, Ighalo is doing that job that we need. That striker that comes in when somebody's injured or you need to rotate and absolutely devours it because he loves it. You know, it's not like if Luke Shaw coming forward here, lovely little run, find something, Luke. Final ball, not good enough. He knows it. Hi Mark, ask Ollie about Pogba's contract rumours. And question for Flex, how does the recent dominance of City and Liverpool impact the youth growing up for future prospects players? Now where United fans as kids, in the future it could make it hard for United to get top talent, says the Booknut fan. That's an interesting question as well. I'll write some. In fact, I'll just send them through while we're talking. So we're hoping that we will be... we will get to ask him a couple of questions in the press conference if we get in. Great question. That's that one gone. Okay, Mark, how did you and Flex meet? I've always wondered, says Christopher Liu. Well, we were just walking along the street. How did me and Flex meet? We met through a mutual friend. and we weren't doing fan cams at the time, and I was just having a conversation with somebody about whether we should bother doing fan cams, because I was always against it, because obviously there was another couple of channels doing it, and I'm like, I don't really like treading on people's toes. And this person said, you should do it because you'll do it better than them. And I was like, well, I suppose that's a good argument. And then it was like, well, I don't have anyone to do it because I can't do it. And then they were like, I know somebody who might be quite good at it. And I was introduced, and we gave it a go, and that's where it went from there. So I can't even take credit for it. It wasn't my idea. Dan James, 2v2, football intelligence. Doesn't need it! Bang! Dan James, what a goal. He doesn't need football intelligence there when he gets his head down and does it himself. I love it. The Welsh Wizard, Mark II, gets a lot of stick, but that is a fantastic finish, and the United fans, the United players are there to give him some love. But I tell you what, I love that goal from Dan James, because he's been getting a lot of stick, and I've said, look, his football intelligence isn't there yet, but that's not his fault. He's come up from the Championship, he's a young lad, he's been overplayed, and he has got raw talent. And I think those people who think he just gets his head down and run, that's not what he does, because he runs forward here, he cuts inside a player, and he gets a shot off. And this is the thing, everybody's finding their feet now. Everybody's playing well in this team. Everybody's responding. I'm really pleased for Dan James there. That just shows that this is what we saw from Dan James at the start of the season. He's a fantastic player. He's better than Pepe. That's simple. Put it in the back of the net. And lovely goal from Dan James. Love it. Let me just put that out on a tweet just to wind them up. This'll really do it. Arsenal fans, not even in the tournament. Dan James, let me type. Dan James proving he's better than Pepe again. What a goal. Lovely stuff. Love it. And you know what? I'd have just quick. You see, that's Dan James there. That's the problem with Dan James. And it's not a problem. It's constructive criticism. He wins the ball there. And if you look up, Agarlo's in. But he's got his head down. He's a head down player. He doesn't get his head up. He's thinking about going past the next man. And he doesn't look up enough. And that's what's going to be the difference between whether Dan James is going to be a great player or a very good player, because he's got to get his head up in those situations. But there's definitely a player there. 100% there's definitely a player there. He's not this bloody, what's his name? He's not just a sprinter. He's a good player. And I think he can be a great player. He's just got to work on, as I said, he's just got to work on that, getting his head up a little bit. And we said, the funny thing is, we were saying the same about Rashford, and Rashford still has that problem with it. Rashford still sometimes closes his eyes on headers, doesn't get his cross in, doesn't find his final pass. But they're both young enough to develop and learn that. So really pleased with Dan James getting that. And I've just changed the score. It's 2-0. Question for Flex to Ollie. Axel was good before his injury. He's now fit, but Bay is doing well after his injury. Will we see any more of him this season, says Tom Hazelwood? It's a good question, that is. And I personally think that Twan Sebi was pretty close to breaking into the team at one point. But he got injured, didn't he? Some Adams and Kohler says some things are just better off unsaid, like Agarlo being better than Martial. Also, what more does Martial have to do to deserve full respect? He's a top striker in my opinion. I get it. I get the Pogba thing. I do get the Pogba thing. It was an Agarlo assist for Dan James, by the way, so he's got a goal and an assist tonight. I get the Pogba thing because I think there has been issues with his agents that make people dislike him. And I like Pogba, but I've never understood the Martial thing. I don't get it. Check Axel Studios channel, says Axel Studios. There you go. You've shouted yourself out. Thank you. What's going on with Fosu Mensah, says Wingbar? I think he's just working himself back from injury, really. You think about it, he's been out for a long time. Mark, still better atmosphere here than the Etihad, says David Taylor. Yeah, Flex is doing it all on his own. Now at home, LASK have to score 3, so why don't Ollie bring on Greenwood and Chong, says CMTV. Now is the time to make the subs. now is the time to make some subs. We've got half an hour. He should be making subs now. And I think Bruno's had quite a quiet second half, hasn't he? And this has happened a lot for Bruno recently. He sort of does get a little bit tired. So perfect time to get Bruno off. You can't complain with United tonight. Oh, Garlo hits the post. I thought it was going to be offside. He bullied his way through and then he hit the post. And he wasn't offside either. I thought it was going to be offside. It's a weird atmosphere, isn't it? But it's a through ball and he gets through and he hits the foot of the post. I thought he'd scored. Garlo again, he's a right handful. I tell you what, I bet Martial wish he was playing tonight. Not taking nothing away from Garlo, but there's goals in this. I said 3-0. Yeah, well, substitutions-wise, you're going to have to bring Pereira on, aren't you? Mata can't normally play a full game, but I would try and get a full game out of Mata. So on the bench, midfield-wise, we've got Matic and Pereira. You don't want to be bringing Matic on, really. I would bring Pereira on for Bruno. And yeah, you probably are going to have to bring Matic on for Fred. Greenwood's got to come on. Maybe get Greenwood on for Agallo, because Agallo might have to play on Sunday if Martial's injured, although I think Martial will be back. Oh, this joke makes me laugh, right? I thought it was real for a minute. You probably all heard this joke, right? Breaking news, the RB Leipzig goalkeeper who played Tuesday night against Spurs has been tested for coronavirus. Spurs players have been advised not to self-isolate as they didn't get anywhere near him. That's a joke, by the way. It's not true. United doing their job away. Swap Shaw as well. Need him this weekend, says Lars Erik Brubakin. Look, I think these sort of games, there's always people are, rival fans will be, oh, look at them getting excited because they beat a bunch of Austrian farmers. But you can only beat what's in front of you, and United have done it in a good way again. And again, when it comes to the player ratings, I think, again, we're going to be talking about a lot of good performances, aren't we? Which, you can only do that. And I remember United playing a lot of games. Good McTominay. Oh, he nearly got Bruno in. Bruno wasn't happy with him. But I remember United playing games against Rochdale back in October. And you're like, every United player should be getting an 8 out of a 10 because they're playing a crap opposition. A bit like we are tonight. And a lot of players are getting an 8 out of 10. But when you look back at games like Rochdale, we were doing the player ratings and people are getting 5s and 6s. So that just shows you, just because it's a crap opposition doesn't mean that that everyone's going to play well. We've seen United players play not so good opposition and not do very well. So you've got to give the lads praise again. Really good, strong performance. And Dan James has just gone down injured there. In respect to CDM, why not try Eduardo Camavinga? He fits the youth profile United are searching for and probably wouldn't cost more than 30 million, says Domis123. And Tanjit is definitely saying that Ollie should be given at least another year now. It took Sir Alex Ferguson. You see, he ruined it a little bit there by mentioning Sir Alex Ferguson. We're not going back to 1989. Like, I don't mind giving Ollie another year. I think that's a very valid point. But we can't go, it took Sir Alex this, you're talking about something 30 years ago. You can't do that anymore. You can't say that. Sir Alex Ferguson came from Aberdeen, where he'd won a European trophy and broken the Celtic Rangers' dominance. There's no comparison to Sir Alex Ferguson and Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. Like, Ollie's got to do his own thing. I would give him another year because although we've been bad this season, there is a level of improvement from the signings that we've made. And I think we've played well tonight. I think the only weaknesses tonight are probably that right-hand side. I mean, Brandon Williams has played well. I think Mata's lack of pace is they have gone down that side a lot, whereas they haven't really gone down the other side. Dan James is the next Bellamy. Push and run, an occasional worldie. Rashford may not look up, but has skill on the ball. Can James do step overs? Says Smith Jones. You see, we're wandering into that territory again, aren't we? Of saying, oh, Rashford's better than James. They're both our players. Like, Rashford is better than James, but James probably doesn't start when everybody's fit, but what a player he is to come off the bench, and what a driving run in. This is from Luke Shaw, and his final pass lets him down. That's happened a few times tonight. Bruno picks it up. Ball over the top. Dan James ain't going to get that. And I really do think that substitutions should be happening now. I don't want to get too moany about it, but I do think that we should be seeing some substitutions now. I think people like Fred and Bruno are actually looking a little bit tired. Without the fans, I notice every mistake and wrong pass, says Robbie Brown. Yeah, to be honest, you probably make a good point there, Robbie. I think we were all very acutely aware of it, weren't we, in the first half? I actually haven't noticed the fan thing now. I've sort of got used to it. This last 20 minutes, I've not even thought about the fan thing. And I don't know whether it's because the angle of the camera, you're not seeing the fans anyway. But Chongi's coming on. Surprised he's not brought Greenwood on, because I don't think Greenwood will start against Spurs. But they ain't very good this side, are they, that we're playing? I mean, they're not terrible. I just think that most Premier League clubs would beat them. Fair play to them. I don't think they're better than AZ Alkmaar, but they did. They did beat them. So you got to give them a bit of credit. Give credit where it's due. They've earned their right to be in this tournament, but it looked like a good draw for United, and it is a good draw. And I tell you what, if we get another goal, and I just wonder if that's what Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is doing here. I think he's thinking, if I get another goal, second leg, if the second leg is going to happen, you can really, really rest players. If we get to that second leg. Bruno, Bruno, Bruno. He came from Sporting like Cristiano. La 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 la. Bruno, Bruno, Bruno. Matter. Bruno, Bruno, where are you, Bruno? I need Bruno. There you are, Bruno. There we go. I'm sorry, I'm doing something while I'm reading your live comments here. I'm just sorting out the shield of players for the match reaction, because I had forgot to do it. LASK into the penalty box here. Good defending. United will definitely want a clean sheet. Luke Shaw bringing it out. A chance there. Probably the best chance of the game for LASK. Dropped him in the box, put it over the bar, and he knows it. He's upset. LASK was just promoted to the Austrian First Division in 2017. Good achievement by them. 3 years on, to be honest, as Cavalier Crane Masters. Yeah, look, Manchester United would be massive favourites in a game like this. Dan James has come off. Good night for Dan James. And Chongi comes on. Only get the game in Spanish because of where I live. You're a great commentary to have instead. Thanks so much, Mark, says Jack0987. Thank you. I don't normally get that sort of compliment. And Mojo says, if Pogba stays, how many signings do you think we will miss making this summer? And if he's sold, then how many? And do you think the sale of Lingard, Rojo, Jones, Smalling will help build a decent budget? I think moving those players out will generate a bit of cash, but also it will remove the last remaining bit of deadwood. I mean, when you look at what the deadwood's left, Phil Jones, Lingard, Pereira is probably the last, and Rojo and Sanchez are the last bits, aren't they? If Pogba goes, I think we'll still try and sign Sancho. If Pogba stays, I think we'll still sign Sancho. Maybe not a Grealish. If we don't, if Pogba goes, I think we might buy maybe a couple of midfielders. Mark, have you seen the clip of Rance saying Lingard is better than Hazard because Hazard is not consistent? It's an old one, but very funny now. Rance doesn't do himself any favours. But to be honest with you, there's clips of me out there. I said that Virgil van Dijk, when he went to Liverpool, is just the Dutch Chris Smalling. This is life. This is why I love life, because there's nobody's right all the time. It's a bit like transfers. If 70% of your signings are good signings, you've done a good job. And look, I've made some silly statements in the past. I never thought Matic would come back from his bad bit of form. This is a worry. Eric Bailly on the floor. Things you don't want to see. And I don't know what he did. Because the camera's moved away from him. He won a header. And I don't know what happened with Eric Bailly there. Looks like it's his hip. And this, I'm praying here that this is not a bad injury to Eric Bailly, because if it is, this is the problem, isn't it? You can't... I always said this about Phil Jones, and I used to say it tongue-in-cheek, but you can have the best centre-back in the world, but if they're injury-prone, you may as well sell them. Oh, I don't know what happens there. I think he might be all right. I think he might get a hip. Yeah, I think he's going to be fine. It's his hip. It's an elbow into the hip, so he'll be fine. Yeah, he'll be all right. It's like he gets an elbow into that. I was worried it was the way he landed, but he'll be all right. He'll be all right with that. But what I would say is if Eric Bailly doesn't stay fit from this injury and he does start getting injuries again, it doesn't matter how good you are. You need centre-backs. You need centre-back pairings. And you can have the best centre-back in the world, but if they can't stay fit, there's no point. You go and get a centre-back who's not as good, who's always fit. But that's not a bad injury to Eric Bailly. It's an elbow into the hip. It's not like he's twisted anything. Fish and chip shop tomorrow, says Captain Nat. I hadn't thought about that. I might fancy a bit of that. I've had a craving for fish and chips recently, but also chips with gravy. Just tuning in, who scored what and what did I miss? Are we playing well, says Craig Calamy. I think in the context of the game, Craig, I think, you know what? I think we have done well tonight. I think we've done a job tonight, and not a boring job. Sometimes you go on a European away, you try and nick a goal, you keep it tight at the back. We came into the game as favourites here today, and we've done a very professional job. I don't think we've been firing on all cylinders, but you're never going to always be firing on all cylinders. I don't think the opposition are that good, but I think that United have done what they've needed to do, and both goals, good goals. I mean, I would have took this before the game. A goal for Agallo, a very good goal, builds his confidence. Oh, I thought I was going in there, and Romero let it go wide. And the Dan James goal is worth the trip alone, because he is a confidence player, and I think he's been tired. I think he's been lacking confidence. Santa Claus here shooting. He got the technique right, but it was a long way wide. Romero's got his angles covered there. I thought the LASK manager was a Kate Bush fan. He was going, wah, babushka, 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 yeah, yeah. So 15 minutes to go, and as I said, in the second half, I've got to be honest, I've sort of come round to these behind closed door things, because I haven't noticed the behind closed door thing. I haven't. I've just got into the game. It was a bit of a weird thing at the start, but I don't know what you lot think. I've been like, oh yeah, it's not too bad. It's not the end of the world. Let's crack on. Bruno had gone down, but he's got up again. He's going to shoot. Ooh, poor shot from Bruno that time. Thoughts on psychodrama, Mark, says Jared Schultz. Don't know. Got no thoughts. Why does Lindelof always get a rest ahead of Maguire, says Mirza LFC 21. I don't know why we always play Harry Maguire, but what I would say, what that instantly did make me think is Phil Jones is done, isn't he? He just doesn't even get on the bench now. Ollie's obviously figured out that Phil Jones ain't good enough. Apologies for my previous super chat pertaining promotion. I won't do it again, but I'm thankful for those who were kind. White Run Guard gave me my first dislike and insulted me for it. Apologies, says Axel Studios. Go and give his stuff a watch. I don't even know what it is. If Bruno gets injured, we might as well suspend the league this season, says Carito Janga. The good thing about Bruno is, and I'm not jinxing him here because it's statistical, he doesn't get injured much. But I am surprised that we've only made one substitution today. I'll mention it in the match reaction because it's been a very competitive game and we're playing on Sunday potentially. And I think, well, why wouldn't you have rested some of these players? That has surprised me a little bit that we really had this game won a long time ago and we haven't made any subs with that Spurs game potentially happening at the weekend. And what I would say about that is lots and lots of games being cancelled, lots and lots of leagues being suspended at the moment. But from what Boris Johnson, the Prime Minister in England, has said today, I don't think that we're going to see Premier League games cancelled this weekend. I think maybe next week. Bruno has come off now. It's almost like Ollie's listening. Maybe somebody watches the United stand and says, Ollie, they're talking about you. They're giving people a reason to not be happy with you. Quick. Some people are talking about their man of the match already. I think that's a little bit premature, but I know what a lot of people will be saying. I guarantee Agallo's in there again. And why wouldn't he? He's played the full 90. I mean, Dan James came off. I think the goal scorers would be the in a game like this. I think the goal scorers would be the people that would be the obvious sort of choices, wouldn't they? Really. I mean, I don't think there's been a performance from United that's been stunning. I certainly don't think we're talking 9 or 10s. I don't think it's been that sort of a game for United. I do believe that United haven't had to get out of gear 4 really. I think there was another gear to go into if we needed to, but we haven't needed to do that, which is always good for your fitness levels as well. But there's been some good performances from United. I think that Brandon Williams has done well out on the right. Not that he shouldn't do. United's looking all right here. We're looking all right. I thought there was going to be a goal there for LASK, but I don't think. I think we'll keep another clean sheet, which again is going to be another big stat for United as well to have that clean sheet. The referee's just waiting on something here. I don't think it's. I don't know what he's waiting on. Potential penalty check. Check over, no penalty. I don't know what they were looking at there, but it wasn't one. I certainly didn't see anything that made me think there was going to be a penalty there. So, not that I've got the definitive answer, but handball on Fred, but his hand's by his side. That's not it's not a penalty. Potential penalty check. Forget it. It's not a penalty. But LASK pushing forward a little bit here in the LASK 10 minutes. See what I did there? The LASK 10 minutes, they're pushing forward. And look, if they got one back, they'd have a little bit of a chance of getting back into it Old Trafford. But I think we can put a very weakened team out in the second leg, and we'll be fine. It's job done. And to be honest with you, a lot of you have said in the past, should United be looking at prioritising the Europa League over the Premier League? And I think at the moment Why would you? You know, we're moving through the Europa League without really getting majorly tested. So why would we need to do that at the moment? Just keep plugging away, keep doing your thing. That's what we're doing. Romero's got that. So 10 minutes to go in this. We'll turn one Andres Pereira into Mata on the break. Into Fred. I did say 3-0. I was right to say 3-0. It's Fred to Mata. 3-0. Juan Mata. 3-0 to Manchester United. Tie officially over. Ollie looks just like that's it then, isn't it? It is. It is Ollie. That is it. It's well and truly it. Manchester United 3-0. Lovely ball by Fred. Lovely take back from Mata, who actually started the move. I tell you what, Fleck, I might not be there, but Juan Mata, he's been superb tonight. He's been the best player on the pitch. And it's a lovely goal. Lovely goal. But you're never going to expect Mata not to score in those situations. And United leading 3-0. 3-0 to Manchester United. I need to change the scoreline as well. And it's been a walk in the park. It's been a walk in a very pleasant Austrian park. A very empty park. But there's not been any strangers or weirdos to jump out on us. It's been a very easy, comfortable win for United tonight. And if the Europa League is to carry on, then we could basically rest our whole team for this game and play the reserves next leg if we wanted to, because it's done. It's over. And it's Mata who makes it 3-0 to Manchester United, which was my predicted score. Here's Chongi running down the left. Hey, come on, ref. That was a bit... No, referee just runs over him to say that's not a foul, even though I thought it was. Harry Kane has missed 272 days of injury since 16-17 season. Would you have him at United, even though he's extremely injury prone? Says John 2G66. I think with Harry Kane, the problem with Harry Kane is that the money you'd pay for him, I don't think that it would be worth doing that, to be honest. I don't think that I would be looking to buy Harry Kane. Here's Chong. I'll tell you, I'm very pleased that Tahith Chong signed the new contract at United as well. I know some people aren't totally made up on him. And Mason Greenwood's going to come on now. So we've made our 3 substitutions as well, which is good to see. And I think Agallo might be coming off for Greenwood. Yep, he's walking straight off the pitch. He's doing that new rule thing where you just walk off at your nearest point. So lovely evening for Agallo. Contender for man of the match as far as I'm concerned. I don't know what your thoughts are on the man of the match, but definitely a contender for me. Had a good game. Very good game. And United might be adding to their scoreline here. Harry Maguire jumps up. It's nice, isn't it? It's nice when you predict the scoreline and you get it right. But it's always been about that sort of a game for United. I predicted this in the preview as well, and it has come to pass. I think the groove that United are in at the moment, they look like they're going to get clean sheets. Lovely little assist by Fred as well. I mean, Mata should be scoring that, by the way. He takes it really well, and he did start the move. But the pass by Fred, it's almost irrelevant who the opposition is, because the pass is absolutely bang on. Absolutely bang on by Juan Mata, that. And he'll be proud of that. So, early evening. You've got the rest of the evening to yourselves, haven't you? But, well, you can watch the Wolves game. We're still in that weird world, though, aren't we? We are still in that weird world of football. What's the future going to be? I can't tell you that at the moment. Nobody can. But at least we've had a bit of escapism for 90 minutes, and the United boys have given us that. And the future's going to be what the future's going to be. It's a it's a concerning future, of course. I do think we'll see Spurs at the weekend. By the way, I do think we'll see that game. But beyond that, who knows? Who knows at this moment in time? I wouldn't be opposed to behind closed door games. I think that's been I'm going to B, C, D, isn't it? Behind closed doors games, I was like, nah, don't like them. But actually, I think when you move past it and you just focus on the football, it's not actually that different. Because I don't have the sound on a lot anyway, because I'm obviously doing the live stream and stuff. But I suppose if you're used to listening to the crowd, it's a bit different, but it's not something I'm that bothered about. But when you just get, I think the first 20 minutes I was very aware of the empty stadium and everything, but since that I've just really started to focus on the football again, and I don't think there's been I actually got to applaud the players. I don't think there's been a difference in the way the players have approached this game. I haven't noticed maybe in the first 2 minutes, 20 minutes was a little bit cold, but since it's got going, I don't think they've played worse because there's not a crowd there. I think they obviously do want a crowd to be there, but I don't think they've played worse because of it. Corner there. Why is everyone in London rude, Mark? Says Jared Schultz. I don't think everyone from London is rude. And Spurs will definitely be our last match for at least 2 weeks minimum, says Kevin Potterkey. I think it'd be like, well, you know what? I could live with 2 weeks. You give me a little bit of confidence there that it could be 2 weeks. I think it will be longer than 2 weeks. Thanks for everybody who's put their questions in. We're hoping that Flex will be in the press conference with Ollie after the game. He'll do his press conference for the Spurs after the game. I'm just going to ask... Yeah, I'm going to ask. We've got some questions to ask Ollie, hopefully in the press conference that some of you put forward. So obviously we were in the press conference before and we asked about Angel Gomez. So it'll be great if we get in there again. No guarantees, but if we do, we've got some good questions to ask about the Pogba situation, etc., etc. After the progression shown lately with Bruno, etc., says Hayton, what does Ollie think is missing for this team to challenge for the title? Well, that's a good question for the live comments. I mean, I think that United need a right-sided player. Mata scored tonight. He's done a job against a team that he can do it. Mata can do jobs against Norwich and Bournemouth, but can Mata do a job against the Chelseas and the Liverpools? I don't think he can. I don't think we've got a right winger that can do that. So I still think that we do need a right winger, and I think if you're going to look for a right winger in world football, you want Jadon Sancho. Agallo presents an interesting point as to whether you do need a striker if you get him. I think he ticks a lot of the boxes. Midfield, always going to be that question mark about Pogba. I certainly think a player like Jack Grealish could improve us there. I think they're the two positions I'd be looking at. In South Africa, they put electricity off sometimes, says Jared Schultz. I tell you what, if we are going to go on lockdown, the one thing they better not do is turn off the electricity or the internet, because if we ain't got bloody football and we haven't got cinema and we haven't got pubs and we haven't got restaurants, Hader Hammond, Pogba will end up like Coutinho. He will leave and 2 years later we will win the league and the Champions League. I'd love that to happen. And Heard of Premier League Mike Coxlings says it's suspended. Says Son 2-3. Yeah, I know what you've done there, and I didn't even read it right, so it didn't work. And yes! 4-0 Mason Greenwood. Lovely hit. He has got such a great record, Greenwood, hasn't he? It's fed into him down the left-hand side. United now 4-0 up. Let me change that score straight away. It's been a very, very straightforward evening for Manchester United. But these sort of performances don't happen unless you're playing well. And it's fed in, I think it's Fred again. Slide rule pass. There's still a lot for Greenwood to do. And he's just got such a lovely left foot. He makes it look so easy. He's got a little bit to do here down the left-hand side. Uses his right to cut in and then hits it in off both posts. He'll be loving that. Well done. Well done to that lad. Lovely little goal there. And Manchester United lead 4-0. And we're actually just sat there thinking, you know, could it have been any better for United tonight? And Mason Greenwood, stat padding again in the best possible term. We've got a lot of stat padders in this team now. We've got a lot of people that make a difference in the time that they have. It was the Chong assist, by the way. But we have got a lot of players in our team now who just come into the team and get things done. Like Agallo scores goals. Bruno gets goals and assists. Martial's got a very good goal-to-game ratio. Greenwood's got a good goal-to ratio. Rashford, when he's fit, has got a good goal-to-game ratio. 5-0. 5-0. Pereira. I tell you what, how the hell has that happened? Andres Pereira has just hit a shot from probably about 40 yards out. And Manchester United are now 5-0 up. And it's Andres Pereira. Oh, I've got to see this back again. I was too busy changing the score. And Ollie will just be loving this. Because he knows in the second leg, Andres Pereira, keeper should never get beaten by this. It's an absolute clanger. There's nothing good about this goal. There's actually nothing good about it. I mean, fair play to Pereira. Let's clap him. But the keeper, oh my life. He's had a right clanger there. He really has. That is a joke of a goal, to be honest. But it's a goal for Andres Pereira in a situation where he's had a bit of a dodgy season. And I think that's the final whistle as well. Is it? It is. Manchester United have won 5-0. The tie is over. Imagine if that's our last game before the end. Before the end. But two quick fire goals. Lovely goal by Greenwood. Pereira scores as well. The Pereira goal was a little bit banter, to be honest. But lots to talk about. We're going to go straight to the match reaction. The link's in the video description. We've got player ratings. We'll be talking about some significant news around Agallo actually and Sancho. Links in the video description. We'll go straight over onto the match reaction. I'll be live there in 60 seconds. United have put this game to bed and more. It's 5-0. Don't play it behind closed doors on Thursday. Just don't bother turning up, because this could be a cricket score in the second leg. Link in the video description for the match reaction. We're going to be live there in literally about 60 seconds time, as I said. I think I've put the link in the video description there. We'll be doing player ratings as well. But United walk in the park, and the quality difference has just been way too big for LASK links tonight. They're definitely missing something. I'll see you in the minutes. Link in the video description. Match reaction. Thanks for watching.